Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in as we broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. See Sparky Pfeiffer here. Charlie Usen producing the show, as always. Other side of the glass. Always good to see Charlie Usen wearing his Packers hat today, looking really good.
It's not a Packers hat. It's got a bear on it, so it's kind of a Bears hat. It's green, yeah, but
who is it? Like Smokey the Bear?
It's Smokey the Bear, yeah.
Smokey the Bear. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Coming up on today's show, Mike Popovic. Is that how you say his name?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, good. Mike Popovic from 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore will join us coming up at 2:40. Get his thoughts on Packers and Ravens. This is going to be a Football Friday show on a Tuesday because we are not on the rest of the week after today. This show isn't. Now, today, 5 to 6, we'll have Wisconsin Sports wrap up like always with Tommy Wirtz. And then tomorrow morning, 6 to 9, Inside Wisconsin Sports, Josh Albrecht, Trevor Thomas. Those guys will both be on. And then 9 to noon tomorrow, Tommy Wirtz will be in for that show as well. And then the best of Mason Crosby show, noon to 2. And then we will be off the satellite on all the different stations around the state after that. So this will be our last show for the week. So we're going to do a Football Friday, which means Ryan Wood, Green Bay Press Gazette, Packers beat writer, joins us coming up at 3 o'clock. We'll do fantasy football with Joe Bartel from RotoWire Fantasy Sports coming up at 4:20 as well. The only person missing is Austin Herdenia, the Potawatomi Sportsbook manager in Follow the Money, not able to make it today.
Probably just too cool for us, I guess, you know.
Maybe he doesn't have all of his Christmas shopping done.
Probably not. Nobody does.
Did you hear this morning on Inside Wisconsin Sports? Did you hear Trevor Thomas?
I did not know.
Man, I was like starting to sweat for him as I was listening to him have his conversation about how everything he did not have yet. Like they do like this friends swap or whatever the case may be. And there's all these rules of what you can and can't get. So he's got to do that. He still has to finish up the family Christmas shopping. He hasn't done that yet. And then there's like a white elephant, one of those deals that they have as well. And he hasn't done that yet either. He hasn't done any of that yet to this point. And I was listening like, oh my God, like I'm nervous now as I sit here currently because I still have presents I have to wrap individually. Now, Kay, she wraps all the presents, right? But I have to wrap all the presents from the kids, myself, for her. That still is not done. So that I have to do between now and Christmas Day. I have to figure out how I'm going to get that done. That makes me nervous. I couldn't imagine thinking to myself, oh boy, I still got to go shop for her from all the kids, myself. I would lose my mind. There is no way.
And there's not really like a lot of stuff left on the shelves. I was finishing some shopping for like my mom this morning, some smaller things, all of that, my sisters. And that was still pretty hard because stuff, and it's crazy. I hate parking lots in the first place. These past couple of days have made me want to like just drive my car through everybody.
That's hilarious because I'm the exact opposite. I love parking lots and I hate parking on the street. Hate it. So like if there is a popular bar district and it's parking on the street, you will not see me there.
At least parking on the street, like you know what people are going to do. They're going to drive by you. They're going to try to pull into the spot in front of you. And parking lots, people just drive like wherever they want, whenever they want, however fast they want. Yeah. And it's so frustrating.
I think that's a relatively good point. Yeah, I don't like dealing with parking on the street and so forth. All right, well, let's get into today's topics du jour. And one of them obviously is going to be what we do every Football Friday: confident, concerned, and curious. Confident, concerned, and curious. And in order to participate, it's real nice and simple. All you have to do is use the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Follow us, stream us live on X and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio. And you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff too. Now, what are you most confident in going into this Packers game from a Packer fan perspective? Now, as we sit here on Tuesday talking about this, we still don't know about Jordan Love. We still don't really know about Lamar Jackson. We think we know that Malik Willis should be able to go if Jordan Love can't, which is good because I don't want to go to a third-string quarterback in a game in which if you win the division. That's really where it is for the Packers right now, right? So if the Lions lose on Christmas Day, the Packers are in. If the Lions win, then the Packers have to beat Baltimore to get in for the playoffs. Now, we're not talking about winning a division here. We're just talking about qualifying to get into the playoffs and at least being the 7th seed at the end of the day. So if the Lions win, I would assume they will, then the Packers win against Baltimore, you're in the playoffs. What are you confident in going into this game on Saturday night, knowing that we don't know who the quarterback is? I'll be honest with you. I'm going to assume it's going to be Malik Willis. That's what I'm going to assume.
I think that's a pretty good assumption.
But we'll see.
You should wait till Matt LaFleur. He had a great answer about the injuries.
That's at 4:00. Green and Gold Update brought to you by Potawatomi Sportsbook. I don't really want to listen to that, but we will. What are you confident in going into this game? Nicolay Law Talk, text line 414-677-1250. What say you, Charlie?
I think I'm confident if Jordan Morgan has to play right tackle again, which is a possibility at this point in the season, especially with Darren Kennard's neck injury. That's always something to kind of hard to feel out, that he's going to have a second straight good game. I think Jordan Morgan going in there last game against a Bears pass rush that, isn't the most exciting, but still can be tough, especially going against a guy like Montez Sweat, who is a good pass rusher. He played 3.5 quarters of that game. We said it yesterday, pretty well. Not amazing at points, but good enough. And it was the best you've seen him all season. I'm pretty confident that he can go out there and, again, prove that he still belongs in the future of this offense line. Because I think a lot of people were questioning that. I was questioning that. I just wanted to see him get another shot at the tackle position, and he got it, and he did pretty well.
Yeah, I'd love to tell you that I'm confident that he'll play well back-to-back games, but I have no confidence level that he's going to play well back-to-back games at this point because I've not seen it yet. So if it happens, I will be pleasantly surprised, like I was very surprised that he played well in the first game. Because again, every other time we've seen him on the right side, it's been a mess. And it was a mess at the end, but he played good for 3 quarters.
It was a pretty bad mess. He got ran through by Montez Sweat. It was awful.
Did that ever happen to you in college?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's happened before.
Really?
Sometimes you get caught on like the wrong foot, off balance a little bit. They hit you just right. Those are strong players too, man. They're athletes too. It's going to get you. Just like getting dunked on in basketball. It's going to happen even if you're the best defender in the league.
That's true. You're right. And that does make sense. The Baltimore Ravens don't throw the ball well. And the Baltimore Ravens can't stop the throw either. Now, running the football, they're like top 5 in the NFL. And stopping the run, they're like top 10 in the NFL. So that's how this breaks for the Ravens. Regardless if it's Lamar Jackson or not, I don't think that changes much because you still have Derrick Henry, and that's what this whole offense revolves around. Now, the Packers just went through this whole idea of having to stop a 2-headed monster. Now you're going to have to stop the monster, right? Not a 2-headed monster, the monster. Barkley is a monster. Henry's at a different level. This is group tackling is a must. And you against the Bears saw Monangai carry like 5 dudes. And Derrick Henry's bigger than that cat. So this is going to be a test of attrition from this Packers defense. Can they hold up for 4 quarters continuously trying to bring this dude down? Because as the game goes on and it gets colder outside at Lambeau Field on Saturday night, it's not going to feel good when he comes running at you. All I've heard my whole time doing sports talk radio is, Sparky, when it's a big dude running the football, it sucks. When it's a big dude running the football in really cold weather, it's even worse at that point. Because they always just said, man, Eddie Lacy coming downhill in December, nobody wanted any of that action. And it's not going to be any different with Derrick Henry. So before we get to concerns, I'll tell you what I'm confident in. Jordan Love, I don't think it's going to play. But I'll just say this. If it's Love or if it's Malik Willis, as we sit here on Tuesday, whoever it is going to throw 3 touchdown passes in this game. And whether it's one or if they both play, however this ends up playing out, they'll throw for at least 250 yards. So that's where I'm at on this Packers offense. They're going to score. My question in all of this is going to be is, how is this defense going to look against this Ravens offense and how many points can they put up? In my heart of hearts, I don't believe Baltimore can throw up 27 to 30 points against this Packers defense. I don't care if it's Derrick Henry or who it is. I just don't think they have enough, especially a wide receiver, in order to put up that many points. If this gets out to be we're going to try and outscore the other, I really like the Packers' chances if that's how this goes.
I think so. I think you look at what the Baltimore Ravens offense has done so far this season, and it has been Derrick Henry, that's it. And then maybe Zay Flowers occasionally, and Zay Flowers can't catch the ball right now. The past couple weeks, he's had a bunch of drop passes. It's kind of hit or miss with a player like that. And you don't know if Lamar Jackson is playing. I think that does give you a little bit of confidence, though, knowing that they just have to run the ball. That's all the Baltimore Ravens can do at this point. So stack the box a little bit. Make their wide receivers make plays against your cornerbacks. Let those guys go out there and prove themselves for a second straight week, because against the Bears, they didn't look that great at the end of that game.
No.
So they need to go out, and a guy like Keyshawn Nixon needs to have a big game. This is a situation where I think they can do that. It's just whether or not they are going to have the right mindset to do that, because last game, at the end of that game, it didn't seem like a lot of those guys were having the right mindset.
I don't want to even bring up a DB's name in this game. If we're being honest, like on the defensive side of the ball, you should hear the names Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper, Riley, Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness. Like, it should be Isaiah McDuffie. It should be all front seven guys. Maybe an occasional safety that comes up and makes a tackle in a run blitz or something. Outside of that, I better not hear a bunch of Nate Hobbs, Javon Bullard if he ends up playing corner again, if Evan Williams comes back. I don't want to hear a bunch about Keyshawn Nixon or Carrington Valentine, because if I'm hearing their names, more than likely that means they're getting beat by wide receivers. This wide receiving core should not pose that big of a threat to this Packers secondary.
Or you could be hearing their names and interceptions. Maybe they finally have that breakout game as a defense where they can force 2+ turnovers. I think this is a game you can do that. If Tyler Huntley's at quarterback, I think you can very easily make him make mistakes. If Lamar Jackson is at quarterback so far this season, he's made mistakes. He has more turnovers this year than he ever has in the past. Derrick Henry has 4 fumbles on the season and 3 lost ones. You can make him fumble the ball this year. This is a team that I think you can go out there and force them to make mistakes, even more so than the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. But the difference is, now again, Lamar Jackson with his back injury, so that's going to affect something probably. But when he's right, speed-wise, he's way more dangerous than Caleb Williams. And Caleb Williams presents his own problems. But Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson's quicker than Jalen Hurts. When he gets out in the open field, it's a big danger of giving him 20 immediately. So that's the other thing. We didn't really see a spy being used against Caleb Williams. If it's Lamar Jackson, or even Huntley for that matter, Huntley's going to run too. Regardless of who it is, I would think, are going to have a spy in this game, even though you didn't in the Chicago game.
Maybe, but Lamar only has 63 carries on the season, which is way lower than he normally does, only 340 yards. His longest run of the season is 19 yards. So no, he hasn't hit a 20-yard run this season. I mean, this is a situation where, again, he just doesn't look the same because of the amount of injuries he's dealt with this season. Take advantage of that. Make him make mistakes. Make him run. If that's what he wants to do, go for it, because he's probably going to get hurt at this rate.
You're going to gamble on he's going to get hurt. That's your strategy. He'll get hurt. Just let him go.
He's not running the ball in the first place. And when he does, he doesn't look like Lamar Jackson of the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. It still concerns me. His name's Lamar Jackson. If Bo Jackson, who's 100, put on pads, I'd be concerned, because it's Bo freaking Jackson, right? Deion Sanders decides to play corner. I'm going to be concerned. Everybody that was knocking Phillip Rivers for being 44 years old and, oh boy, he looks fat, he looks out of shape, this is a joke, the Colts are an embarrassment. Guess what? He's not a joke. He's not an embarrassment. He's playing at least average football in the NFL. And then I see people on social media saying, hey, man, considering how good Phillip Rivers is playing, how bad really are the quarterbacks in the National Football League outside of like the top 5 or top 10? Then I start seeing that stuff. So now, because Phillip Rivers is playing well at 44 and has been out of the league, now people are questioning how good the rest of the league is at quarterback if this old guy comes back and looks as good as half the league does.
Yeah, but he also is just chucking the ball. Like, the Colts have no game plan. They just go out there and let Phillip Rivers basically be Phillip Rivers. That's pretty easy to do. And they're losing by still 21 points. So yeah, he can look good in a garbage time game against a good team.
I mean, that game last night was not his. He didn't lose that game.
No,
their defense lost that game last night.
But the reason
Christian
he
McCaffrey had like the best game of the year for himself.
The reason he throws the ball 35 times though is because they're losing by 21 points. The reason they let him go out there and just chuck the ball is because they're losing by so much. That's not. Yes, he can go out there and put up the counting stats. When you watch that type of play, when you're watching that, you can see it's a Band-Aid and not winning football.
Well, we're going to find out. Either way, I'm just saying what been saying on social media. People just ripping the quarterback play in the NFL because of how he looks now. Saying, okay, you have 5 or 10 elite guys, and the rest of these guys aren't as good as we all thought they were. Phillip Rivers can come in and look just as effective as the rest of the quarterbacks. Let's go to Andy in Grafton. You're next on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text Line. Confident, concerned, and curious in the Green Bay Packers as they get ready for the Baltimore Ravens on Saturday night. Andy, what say you?
So I called in last week, and you called me Mr. Positivity.
Yep.
And up until 2 minutes to go in that game, I was right.
Yep.
I'm confident that this team, above all other teams that I've seen of the Green Bay Packers, they are going to respond to that loss. Other teams I feel like weren't as mentally tough as this team is. I feel like we've had a lot of things go against us this year, and a lot of them are self-induced, but we've always responded. Another thing that I'm confident about, because I don't know why we're giving the Detroit Lions some pass that they're going to beat the Minnesota Vikings, because they did lose to the Minnesota Vikings at home already this season. I'm confident that the Minnesota Vikings are going to beat the Detroit Lions, and then I think at that point you don't play Malik Willis and you play your third string quarterback because you don't need the game anymore. And I feel like I'm confident.
Whoa. Hold on. You're still in the division race, though.
No, but the best case scenario, in my opinion, Sparky, is playing the Chicago Bears in the first round of the playoffs.
We're going to talk about that at 3:20, playing them the third time, whether or not people want it. So you want them?
Oh, for sure. And I would have wanted them even if we would have beat them again, because the Bears who we thought they were. They are flawed in every sense of the word, and we let them off the hook. We had them beat. We had them beat with a bunch of second stringers, and we let them off the hook. And I'm more than confident that with Jordan Love, Evan Williams, Zach Tom, you name the guys that were out of that football game.
Yep.
I'm more than confident. Even if you give Malik Willis a week of practice, I'm more than confident that Malik Willis outplays Caleb Williams just like he did the last game.
All right, very good. Thanks for the call. We're going to get into this. At 3:20, would you want the Bears a third time in the playoffs? First, to avoid them a third time when you potentially could see them in the first round of the playoffs in a potential 2-7 matchup, which I think everybody thinks that's how this is going to end up. But to the idea of you don't play Malik Willis and you throw a third stringer in there, Clayton too, and I can't get there. Because if I'm LaFleur, I want to win this division. Like that. That has got to be first and foremost in my mind. And if I have a chance to win the division, I still got to keep playing like we're playing for something. I don't feel like you can look at your team and go, I really want to see the Bears. And we're going to go on the road the entire postseason. Because if you're the 2 seed, you're at home every game outside of if the 1 seed gets to you. So from that point alone, now again, you as a Packer fan may say, Sparky, home field advantage doesn't matter for this team. That's not Brett Favre's Packers anymore. Home field isn't a big deal. Hasn't been in Green Bay for a long time. Maybe, okay. But I think those guys in that locker room at that practice facility today probably would disagree with you and myself and others and say it is a big deal that we're at home versus going on the road to Soldier Field.
Chicago's the only team in the playoffs right now that's remotely close to you. Like, you have to go West Coast for all of the other 3 teams in the NFC West. You have to go down south to Tampa Bay if you want to go play in Florida. I mean, that's not an easy trip for anybody.
Right.
Why would you want to go and do that instead of just win the division?
I agree with you. Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Also can leave a message in the Dugout chat on YouTube or X as we stream this bad boy live at WI Sports Radio. To the 262, I'm confident that Malik or Jordan, it's a Packers win. I'm concerned that cold weather brings out more injuries and we can't spare players. I'm curious how many play calls revolve around different versions of the run. That is from Ziggy participating on the talk and text line. Well, first of all, I agree with you that I think regardless if it's a Malik Willis or Jordan Love, they win. I'm with you on that. Cold weather bringing out more injuries. I don't know if there's any factual evidence to put the two together of as it gets colder out, there's more injuries in the NFL when cold weather cities. I will tell you, outside looking in, I tend to agree with you. I feel like that tends to happen with the Packers. The problem is that it's at the end of the season and these guys are already beat up. So now you're getting stuff that just pushes you over the edge at some point. Like that Micah Parsons injury. that was going to happen eventually. Like whether it happened in that game or this last game or in the playoffs, like when that happens, it's going to happen no matter what the weather is outside. Scotty Tiffany uses the Nicolay Law Talking text line. I'm confident the Packers will win the game regardless of who lines up behind center. I'm concerned about Josh Jacobs and would prefer to see Wilson have a huge game. I'm curious if Lamar Jackson will play, and if so, how effective he'll be. Well, Scotty Tiffany, first of all, the Josh Jacobs conversation piece. We had this last week. I didn't want him to play. They played him, and then what happened? He ended up sitting up. And then they brought him back at the end for the onside kick, and he touched nobody. So that was a complete waste of time as well. Having said that, do you play Josh Jacobs this week, Charlie? Or are you towing the line of just like keep letting him go out there and play 2 quarters and get hurt worse and just play him again the next week, 2 quarters? Because you can't say no to a player in the National Football League, apparently.
We'll see what happens in Detroit is what I would say. If you guarantee that playoff spot, if Detroit goes out there and loses that game.
So you'd give up on the division too?
I mean, I wouldn't give up on the division. I don't think sitting Josh Jacobs for an extra week here. I'm just saying that once you have that clinched, you played well against the Bears last week with Emmanuel Wilson getting at least half of those carries. Yep. You've seen him win a game for you earlier in the season. I think you can trust him in that backfield still too. Again, this is you have to somewhat protect him a little bit now, especially since the division is so much farther out of reach after that loss to the Bears.
All right. What are you concerned about going into this game, Charlie?
I think going into this game, my biggest concern is obviously the cornerback room. At the same time, like you mentioned earlier, I don't think the Baltimore Ravens are going to go out there and try to test that cornerback room nearly as much as the Chicago Bears did in this past week. I think for the most part, I have to go then to the edge rushers and see if those guys are going to make more impact plays in this game than we've seen without Micah Parsons on the field. This is a situation where Rashawn Gary has to turn a couple of pressures into sacks. Lucas Van Ness has to go out there and make a couple TFLs against the Derrick Henry. He's the strong player. He has to go out there and show that he's that strong and athletic player. I need to see Derrick Henry stuffed at the line of scrimmage, and I think this is a situation where they just won't be able to do it.
I am concerned about this being a close game going into the fourth quarter. That's what I'm concerned about, because if it's a close game, they're going to continue to pound Derrick Henry and pound you into submission. If the Packers are up by 10, 13 points, something like that in the fourth quarter, more than likely they're going to start to throw the football more than they were prior. So that's something that I think is big. You want to have that lead. I don't feel like Baltimore has the same confidence level in coming back as Chicago does every single week when they're down going into the fourth quarter. Not many teams have had that type of success. So if you have them down and you're at home with the crowd and the weather and everything else, I feel like you're in a good position. I will be concerned, though, if that's a close game. And we'll be on the air Saturday night, Green Bay football post-game show, powered by Lakeland University. Tommy Wirtz and myself this Saturday night. That is something to keep an eye on as well.
I just feel like Baltimore so far this season, though, hasn't been able to win those close games. They've gone into a lot. In the first game of the season against the Bills, they ended up losing that game by 1 point when it went down to the wire at the end there. They only win games when they have blowout type of situations, and if it's anywhere close, they seem to just fumble that type of lead. Last week against New England, they went out and did that. This is a team that I think if you can go out and stub them right away and at least get that 21 points and keep them below the 20 points, you are safe, even if it ends up being 21-19.
Charlie using over there, Steve Sparky, Pfeiffer here. What are you curious about going into this game? I am curious to see if they will do anything more than they've done already to get Matthew Golden more involved in this offense. I know I say it almost every week, but at some point here, there's going to have to be something involving Matthew Golden, I would think, here at some point to get him going. I think he's going to have a breakout game this week, the following week, or in the playoffs. There will be a week in which Matthew Golden's going to be like 80, 90, 100 yards receiving in one of these weeks. Depending on what Matt LaFleur decides to do it, one of these weeks, it's coming. I would prefer it to be before the playoffs to make sure every team that plays them has to now prepare for it.
If it doesn't happen, what are your thoughts on Matthew Golden's season then? Like,
not much, because it was on social media. Let me see if I can find it quickly on my X account. So people were going back and looking at Packers rookie wide receivers and talking about Matthew Golden and kind of like how it all lines up when you sit there and take Matthew Golden into account versus a lot of these other guys. And what everybody found as they were going through this, if I can find this, was the fact that a lot of these guys simply don't do much production at all in their rookie year, which is pretty good. Let's see. Peter Rakowski says, even with the injuries, Matthew Golden already has more catches than rookie Randall Cobb. He's going to be good. Most of these guys, when you go back and look at some of this stuff, you realize that a lot of these guys simply never got big plays in their rookie years. It normally ends up being like the second or third year before these guys bust out.
I guess, but also Randall Cobb is a late second round pick. It's different than a early late first round pick. This is a guy again that you came in to help change the offense and give you a different dynamic in that group, and you just haven't seen him do that yet. I think in most more recent years, when you've seen a first round wide receiver have that lack of progress in an offense, that guy fizzles out pretty fast. The Kadarius Toney is a player that comes to my mind. He's a guy that was more of a gadget player than Matthew Golden, but was supposed to be a big part and help add a new dynamic to that Giants offense. And it didn't work out in his rookie season, and they almost immediately gave up on him. If this is a Packers team that is looking to compete in the near future, you can't wait around for a Matthew Golden like you could for a Randall Cobb.
Got one coming in here from the Nicolay Lautaka text line 920. No more jet sweeps, no more end arounds for the love of God. That is from the 920. I think everybody is sick of those. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. They don't ever work. Guys never cut back. It's always just taking it all the way to the sideline. It's so frustrating to watch. Take a quick time out. Come back on the other side. We're going to talk a little bit about the Green Bay Packers special teams unit. I'm Mr. Rich Bisaccia. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live here on the Tuesday before Christmas Eve and Christmas. Thanks for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Let me tell you about my fine folks over there at Potawatomi. Are you ready to rumble? Join wrestling legend Kevin Nash coming up on January 13th at Potawatomi Casino Hotel for an elevated viewing experience of the Royal Rumble. Watch your favorite WWE superstars battle it out in the match of the year, located at the Annex at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. For just $100 a person, this is everything you get for $100. 2 complimentary drinks, beautiful. Unlimited buffet access, which means you can eat till you like roll out of there. Photo and autograph with Kevin Nash. He's very big. $25 reward or match play to play your favorite games on Potawatomi. A shot at winning your own WWE Championship belt. Charlie says it's going to be signed. There's like five of them,
all signed by Kevin Nash. Yep.
And there's only 60 tickets. That's it. 160 are sold. They're done. Nobody else. So you're not going to be in a room with 500 people fighting to get an autograph with Kevin Nash. There's only going to be 60 people total that are going to be in this room with you watching the Royal Rumble with Kevin Nash. So very cool. Secure your spot now by simply going to Potawatomi.com, click on the events tab, and you will see your place of how you can go and spend your $100, get your ticket, and reserve it. And again, you know, all you guys that love wrestling and your girls are like, who cares? Well, here you go. You and your buddy each get a ticket. Buy your buddy a ticket, right? If you don't have them anything for the holidays, and you and him have a night and go hang out. Perfect.
They should just make it like a whole Royal Rumble thing, and each of those 60 people get to just run in and try to wrestle Kevin Nash and see what happens.
They would die.
You think all 60 of them, like he wouldn't get tired at all by the end? Like full Royal Rumble? He's the first one on the mat?
Dude, I'm pretty sure he could take like 6 of me on at one time and not get tired.
Probably.
So depending on how big the guys are, like if 6'8" Trevor Thomas walks in, okay, that's going to be a fight.
Yeah, Trevor walks in and then I'll come in afterwards.
Right. I mean, if you stack the deck against him, maybe he gets tired. But
I think we could figure it out.
Again, Kevin Nash is relatively beat up and older now at this point, where he's got pain everywhere. So he's not exactly elite in the prime Kevin Nash. But I would still take Kevin Nash against mostly anybody, I think.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, I still think I would take him, yeah. Okay, so coming up next, Mike Popovic, right? From
Popovic.
Oh, Popovic, sorry.
Yes.
Got to get that right when we talk to him. Mike Popovic from 105.7, The Fan in Baltimore, is going to come up. We're going to look ahead to Packers and Ravens and get his thoughts on how much of a battle he really expects Baltimore to put up against the Packers coming up on Saturday night in Green Bay. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Charlie Usen, other side of the glass. Of course, know him from his Wisconsin Sports Weekend show with Jack Pembroke, Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. Always a fun time with Jack and Charlie. What is that wizardry cheesehead thing you do?
Warlock's Locks?
Warlock's Locks.
Yes, because Jack is the Wisconsin Warlock, and he makes his magic cheese ball predictions every Saturday for fantasy football or fantasy sports when football's over.
Or otherwise known as Peacock.
Yeah.
Okay, now, time to look ahead to this Packers and Ravens game coming up on Saturday. This dude here, man, he looks like he's under a spotlight in a police station right now. Mike Popo joins us now from 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Mike, are you safe? Are you okay?
I am safe. I'm okay. No issues here. I'm actually above. So in my bedroom, we have a loft. So upstairs, it's a sports / office / studio for me. So
nice.
That's what you're getting back there. But yes, all is good. All is good.
You could see Mike on X and on YouTube if you stream us live at WI Sports Radio. Okay, so as we're being heard, Green Bay, Duluth, Superior, Wausau, Milwaukee, Southeastern Wisconsin, everybody's waiting to hear your take on this Baltimore Ravens team and how much of a threat do you think they are to the Green Bay Packers coming to Lambeau. Looking at numbers specifically, it doesn't look like they throw the ball that well. It doesn't look like they stop the throw all that well, but it looks like they run the ball really well, as expected with Derrick Henry, and it looks like they stop the run really well. That is my view from looking at numbers. What is your view in reality?
Well, it's going to start with whether Lamar Jackson could go on Saturday, and right now he's got a contusion. His back right now is very, very sore. If he could have gone back into that game against New England, there's no doubt he would have, because, the season's on the line at that point for the Ravens. Now it's in the hands of the Steelers, or really the Browns. We need the Browns to beat the Steelers on this weekend. And if they don't, regardless of whether we beat the Packers or not, our season's over. But, it starts there with Lamar Jackson. There's nothing, unfortunately, this season, and it's crazy to think about this given the fact that the Ravens are one of the Super Bowl favorites coming into this year. There's nothing that the Ravens can hang their hat on. Now, to your point about rushing the football, yes, they've been good at that, but not nearly as good as they were last year. Lamar Jackson, because of his injuries, is not the threat this year that he was in previous seasons. And there's been a real issue with getting Derrick Henry the ball enough. I'm sure that nationally, you guys up in Wisconsin have seen why in the world, after the Ravens ran the football down the throats of the Patriots responded with a score, cut the deficit. Why in that second to last offensive series for the Ravens did Derrick Henry not come out on the field? Instead, it was Keaton Mitchell. And to say, well, it was a rotation, they talked about it. No, John Harbaugh, your season is on the line there. Derrick Henry had mashed right through that New England defense. You've got to give him the ball. And they didn't. It was Keaton Mitchell, and then they ended up having to punt. And well, the rest of the story. And then they were in a 2-minute drill in that very last series. So at that point, obviously, Derrick Henry would not be on the field. But there's nothing really well that this team hangs their hat on. You talk about stopping the run, but that's because teams could throw on this team. The Ravens do not have a great pass rush. Sans 2 weeks ago against Cincinnati, where they got a really good pass rush on Joe Burrow. They got 10 quarterback hits, 3 sacks. That was an anomaly for the team this season. So it's because teams have been able to throw the football effectively against the Ravens why they're not as good stopping the run. And our star nose tackle, Nnamdi Madubuike, lost him early in the year, Pro Bowler, and he may be done for his career with a neck injury. So that's been a big loss there. They did sign Travis Jones, a third-round pick out of, I believe, UConn a couple of years ago. They signed him to an extension, and it looks like he's going to have to be the guy because Madubuike is gone. But I got to tell you, I wish I could tell you the chances, from the Ravens' perspective are great Saturday. They're not. Tyler Huntley is an adequate backup quarterback, but, certainly he's not Lamar Jackson, even throwing the football. So.
Packer fans know Huntley because Huntley gave the Packers a lot of problems the last time Huntley was with the Ravens and faced the Packers. So that is not a name that Packer fans really want to deal with either at this point because they don't have good memories the last time Huntley faced the Packers. When we start talking about this offense with Huntley or with Lamar Jackson, does it change? How much do you think it changes? Because Jordan Love to Malik Willis, because the Packers are in the boat with Jordan Love's concussion, Jordan Love to Malik Willis, Matt LaFleur, front facing, will be like, he knows the playbook. We just run it. It's not true. Like the running plays themselves, do not look the same as the running plays with Jordan Love. Like, it's a completely different package with Malik Willis out there. The ability to call his number and let him run upfield, they do not do that with Jordan Love. And even the type of passing plays and the throws that they have him making are probably a little bit different than what they do with Jordan Love. So there is definitely a different way that you have to prepare. And I said it on the postgame show after the game that it kind of made it even more difficult for Dennis Allen and the Bears defense because they were not preparing all week to have to face that offense, and they had to do it on the fly. Now, in this situation, if you're the Ravens, I don't know which way Harbaugh is going to prepare for this thing in that defense, but they're definitely two different offenses. What about Huntley and Jackson?
Yeah. Well, I think in a normal year, if Lamar Jackson was healthy and was more of a runner, then I would say that this offense would look a lot different because first, there's only one Lamar Jackson. So yeah, Tyler Huntley, he can run, he can extend plays with his legs, but there's only one Lamar Jackson. But I think that especially now that you're with a backup, our third string is Cooper Rush. You gave him a multi-year contract and you benched him very early in the season. You brought Huntley in. So that's all you need to know there. I think that if they are to run him, they're going to have to be judicious about it because they don't want Huntley to get hurt. So I would say there's a little bit of a change in the offense if Jackson was healthy, but because Jackson hasn't run that much, I'd say that there's not a big change. I'd say that you're going to see more of a traditional run game from the Ravens, and whether it was Jackson or Huntley, you wouldn't see a lot of quarterback running anyway. But again, Huntley can extend plays. I'm not saying that they won't run him judiciously here or there on a zone read option just to keep the defense honest. But I really think that what the Green Bay defense will be looking at is to stop, Derrick Henry and Keaton Mitchell out of a traditional look in the backfield there. And that, Huntley is going to be more of a drop back quarterback when he throws the football or when you see him back there in a shotgun getting the football.
Talking with Mike Popovic of 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. See Sparky Pfeiffer with you. For so long, the Packers never drafted a wide receiver in the first round. The last one was Javon Walker, previous to Matthew Golden being the pick this year, to which they've barely used him. That was always a pressing issue when Ted Thompson was the general manager of, man, why don't they do more to help out the quarterback? And if you look back at the wide receivers that Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre played with, they weren't slouches. They were all pretty good wide receivers. He just didn't believe in taking them in the first round necessarily. Again, outsider's perspective, it feels like to me, the Ravens haven't done the best of jobs of supporting Lamar Jackson with a bunch of offensive weapons at that wide receiver position over the course of his time in Baltimore. What are your thoughts on that?
Initially, no, but if you remember when Jackson took over full-time as quarterback, they completely changed the offense. They ran a triple option, out of the gun, out of the pistol with Greg Roman, who is known for his offensive creativity in the run game, not the pass game. That's ultimately what did him in down the road. But the kind of offense they were running, very unique, very different, and it didn't necessarily lend itself to having a lot of big-time receivers because it was a run first, run second, run third type offense, and you mixed in the pass a little bit, but you didn't necessarily need dynamic receivers because if that run game's going between the running backs and with Lamar Jackson, you're going to have guys be able to get open and play action, and you don't, again, need superstars there. But as time went on, Greg Roman was ousted because the passing game just needed to be elevated. Todd Monken comes in. They bring an offensive passing game scheme that's a lot better. He kept a lot of what Roman had from a run game perspective. But to your point about personnel, they drafted Rashad Bateman, who was a first-round draft pick out of Minnesota. He has not panned out mostly because of injuries. They get Zay Flowers, a first-round pick out of Boston College. He's been phenomenal. Now, he has had his fumbling issues that we've seen mixed in there, but he is a big playmaker. When you take a look at, they extended Mark Andrews, who behind Travis Kelce has been the second most productive tight end, especially with touchdowns in the last 5 to 8 years. And they drafted Isaiah Likely out of Coastal Carolina. He's been very non-existent this year, but in previous seasons, he's a very athletic tight end. So I think when you combine wide receivers and tight ends, I think over the last couple of years, they have done a better job there. They did draft Devontae Walker to North Carolina to be a take the top off the defense guy. He's been in there in spurts. Kind of surprised they haven't gotten the ball more to him. So I think they've made strides, but I'll be very honest. I think they still could go out, whether it be free agency or the draft next year, and get a really top line receiver. I think the Flowers, even though he can get deep, is more your short and intermediate yak guy. I think you still need, unless it's Walker, who has been inactive half the year. So that may tell you something. I still think they need to go out, but I'll be honest, they got a lot of needs with this team, and it starts with their offensive line. One thing I'd just throw in here, the guards have been maligned all year in Andrew Voorhees and Daniel Falele. They have been raked over the coals by Ravens fans, and deservedly so. They're not very good, and that's been a big issue why the Ravens have struggled offensively.
I've only got like 2.5 minutes. If you were a betting man, and maybe you are, I don't know, but if you were a betting man, is John Harbaugh back with the Ravens next year?
I think it's less and less. I really think of the last couple of weeks, and based on just what happened alone with Derrick Henry not getting the ball, I'd say right now it's 55-45. He stays. He did get an extension, so he's got another couple of years outside of this. So I'll still lean slightly that he stays, but I think even the last couple of weeks, there's a lot better chance that he's gone. And I think it's just time. I think it's time to move on, and I think they need to overhaul portions of this roster as well, even though it's a youngish type roster.
Mike Popovic, 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore, joining us here on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Mike, thanks so much for coming on, man. Have a happy holidays. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. To you as well. Take care.
Take care. There he is, Mike Popovic, joining us there on X and on YouTube as we stream live on WI Sports Radio. Always a good time to head over to Wendy's, especially if the Bucks ever win another game. When the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. After every Bucks win, stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after a win, so act fast. Get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's. Wouldn't it be nice if they won tonight?
That would be really nice.
Hey, get a free small frosty on Christmas Eve.
That'd be perfect. I'd be down for that.
You know what else is going to be nice for somebody probably?
What's that?
That Powerball is like $1 billion.
Did you buy more tickets?
And the next, I'm going to. And the next drawing is tomorrow night on Christmas Eve. You want to talk about having a Merry Christmas. Now, this is my question. You have the Powerball ticket. You're with your family, whatever. You realize that you win.
Don't say a word.
Really?
Don't say a word.
You don't tell your family?
You tell them a little bit, you know?
What?
You tell them one at a time, maybe a couple weeks later after you get the money, figure out what you want to do. Not right away.
Or at the kitchen table.
No, not right away. You got to give yourself a plan first, and then you can start telling people.
Do you stay or do you leave?
Well, you stay for a little bit. You know, you can't let them know you'd be out of there right away.
There's no chance I'm keeping that a secret from my family. Like,
you don't have to keep it a secret for long. You just have to make a plan.
If I read that and realize I just won $1 billion, I am going nuts. Like running around the living room, jumping on people.
Everybody Sparky knows will know.
Everybody that I know, yes. I will text you. You'll be one of the first to know. Charlie, you can retire. We're done, baby.
Yes.
Let's go. Right?
I'll take it. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Coming up next, Ryan Wood, Green Bay Press Gazette Packers beat writer, will join us to talk more about this Packer-Ravens game coming up this weekend.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is time again, hour number 2. As we broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We're here next week. This is our last show for this week, this specific show. Tomorrow morning, Inside Wisconsin Sports, they'll be live with Josh Albrecht, Trevor Thomas. Then from 9 until noon, that show is technically all off. But Tommy Wirtz and Mitch Thunder Nellis will be with you tomorrow, hanging out doing that show. And then noon to 2 will be a best of the Mason Crosby show. So that's what's on the agenda for the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. And then all the shows will be off on Thursday and Friday, and we'll be back coming up on Monday. But Saturday night, Green Bay football postgame show powered by Lakeland University with Tommy Wirtz. And this guy right here, he always calls in as a part of the show, Ryan Wood. Joins us now on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Packers beat writer for the Green Bay Press-Gazette. I bullied you into finally joining us on video. What a great early Christmas present you provided me, Ryan Wood. Thank you so much.
Sparky, you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, this is better for you than another Christmas tree.
No, what would have been better for me would have been had you actually stopped at the house and your drive to or from Chicago to experience Christmas magic. And instead, yet again, you just drove by the exit and kept on going.
Hey, you know what I forgot when we mentioned that on Friday? I forgot that I was going to be absolute comatose dead Sunday driving back from Chicago after a night game that goes into overtime. Can we just say, from no one cares about us. I get it. We're not the game. But from a NFL beat writer perspective, there is nothing worse in the world than a road night game that goes to overtime, and it's happened twice now this season. Yeah. No more of that. No more.
Yeah. No, I totally get it, especially if you're taking a plane or something. I mean, in this case, you guys were driving, right?
You just had to drive 3 hours half away.
Yeah. Only 3 hours. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
Hey, might make that trip again in a few weeks.
Probably going to make that trip again. And I'll ask you what we're going to ask coming up in the next segment. Would you want the Bears a third time in the playoffs, or would you prefer not to play them again?
Oh, if I was the Packers, I'd be champing at the bit. Whichever one it is, I'd be doing both. I would absolutely want the Bears again. I told you right after the game, Sparky, like you're congratulating me. I was not in a mood to gloat. Yes, I picked the Bears to win. I thought they would show themselves to be the better team with the Packers lacking Micah Parsons. And for goodness sakes, lacking Jordan Love, I thought they would be the better team. They weren't. This was very much like 2014 Seattle NFC Championship game where didn't feel like the better team won because of an onside kick, right? If I'm the Packers, I don't have much doubt in my mind I'm a better team. I'd love to go down to Chicago and show it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, too. I thought that was more of the Packers losing than necessarily the Bears winning, I guess, when you have that whole conversation. Can we talk about Matt LaFleur a little bit?
Sure.
I have had multiple conversations today with two different people that have connections up there, and from two different people that didn't know that the other was talking to me necessarily, kind of made it seem to me like Matt LaFleur's job isn't as secure as I continue to let it on to be, that there may be some winds blowing, that maybe he's not going to get that extension unless they do make some type of run in the postseason, to which I am completely baffled by that whole thing. You're around the team. I mean, is this team buying into Matt LaFleur? Are they willing to run through a wall for Matt LaFleur? Does he have their attention? Because to put anything that happens on him after Micah Parsons goes down, if Jordan Love doesn't play again, that's now 2 games without Jordan Love. Putting that stuff on him, to me, seems completely unfair.
Well, they are without so much of their top roster talent right now. It feels like a doomed season, to me at least, just speaking for myself. Like you lose Micah Parsons, Devontae White, that's your pass rush. You lose Tucker Kraft, that's your number one. You lose Zach Tom, he might be back this week, but he's been dealing with injuries all season. Josh Jacobs has been dealing with injuries all season. Elton Jenkins is supposed to be the starting center. He's done for the season. Christian Watson, he's a new number one after Tucker Kraft. He goes down with an injury. You lose Jordan Love in the biggest game of the year for the second half, that's a lot. We got to see how it plays out. Matt LaFleur has 1 year left on his contract. It is a lame duck status in 2026. Ed Policy said that he wants to avoid that, so he's got one of two options: extend him or fire him, or else you're going to have a lame duck coach. He does not want that. How do you fire a coach that has had all of his best players ripped away? None of this is coaching. To me, let's see how it plays out. They're going to get to the playoffs. If they lose in the playoffs with something that is coaching malpractice akin to last year's regular season finale against Chicago, that was coaching malpractice. If something like that happens, okay, it could change the temperature to me. But short of that, and Sparky, I'll leave you with this. The two most important people when it comes to Matt LaFleur's job security should be Jordan Love and Micah Parsons. Those are the two pillars of your franchise. Jordan Love, tell me he hasn't progressed in his third year. Now that he's been healthy, he's progressed. That's Matt LaFleur's doing. I give credit to Jordan Love, too. I'm not saying the player should not get credit. I'm saying that Matt LaFleur is clearly coaching a quarterback who is progressing. Right. And we've heard not a whiff of anything but support from Micah Parsons. His opinion matters. Right. I don't know how he could go anywhere.
See, and that is my thing as well. When we start talking about Jordan Love, my fear is if you move on from Matt LaFleur, there is no guarantee whoever the next play caller is. Because let's say they go, oh, Jeff Hafley, we love you. So you're the head coach, hired offensive coordinator. Okay, fine. But there is no guarantee that it's going to work. And then what's going to happen? That's going to be like, we knew Jordan Love wasn't that great after all. See, he can't make it work. And then if his career goes sideways because him and the coordinator don't get on the same path, that's going to be an issue too for this Packers team that just paid him all that money. I mean, in my mind, once you decided to pay Jordan Love, you should have decided that you were rolling with Matt LaFleur for the same length of time.
Can I tell you what I would do if I was at Policy? This is where I'm at. It was Bill Walsh that had that 10-year rule, right? Yeah. If your coach hasn't won in the first 10 years, he's not going to. NFL history has shown that. Matt LaFleur
mean the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's title time. That's inherent. If Matt LaFleur's seventh season, he hasn't won a Super Bowl, I understand that that's not good math for him. I'm not blind to that. What is your best chance of winning a Super Bowl in 2026? Is it the continuity, which is extremely important in this league, and avoiding the cursed injury bug, which, by the way, other than Micah Parsons, all these injuries have been contact injuries, every single one of them. That's not failure to prepare your players. That's bad luck. They have had a ton of bad luck this season that is unavoidable. Do you keep the continuity going with Jordan Love, with the roster, still young, can ascend, or do you blow it up and change head coaches? To me, I would give a 2-year extension to Matt LaFleur, put him through that year 10, and if he hasn't done it by his next extension, okay, you heed the words of Bill Walsh. I understand it at that point. But I do think that your best chance, if they're healthy, this is a Super Bowl roster. I don't think there's any debate there. Your best chance is continuity with this core, with this roster, and let them stay healthy and watch them grow.
The other part about this is Brian Gutekunst is in the same boat as Matt LaFleur. Now, when they made the trade for Micah Parsons, I was like, well, they're giving him an extension because Ed Policy had to sign off on that deal. So regardless of what happens, you signed off on the deal. So you were all in for giving up multiple ones and Kenny Clark because Goody's not pulling that deal off without going through Ed Policy. So I would assume he gets another coach. The thing that I have an issue with here is I'm pretty sure Mark Murphy hired Matt LaFleur and Goody was in the room for it. So this technically would be like his first hire, and we have no idea what that potentially could look like.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be worried about Brian Gutekunst, though. Every step he's turned, from drafting Jordan Love to making the trade for Micah Parsons, he's done awfully good. He's built a Super Bowl roster here. Now, the problem, of course, is that a lot of that Super Bowl roster is done for the season. But the pieces are in place to win. And Brian Gutekunst has made the roster in that he's undergoing a massive makeover and transition from the end of the Aaron Rodgers era to the start of the Jordan Love era. And in doing so has built a Super Bowl caliber talent team. If he has to make a coaching search, I think based on his track record, there shouldn't be any real pause about, can he pick the right coach? To me, it's just more, I think Matt LaFleur at this point in time is the right coach. There's a difference in the NFL between being a good coach and being a good coach at the right time, right? For Matt LaFleur, it's not a question of whether he's a good head coach. He's shown enough that he is a good head coach. If he was to be fired at the end of the season, he'd get a job before leaving the parking lot if he wanted one.
Yes.
He would be highly, highly in demand. What did Mike McCarthy say back in the day? I'm a highly successful NFL head coach.
Yep.
Matt LaFleur has shown himself to be a highly desirable NFL head coach. He'd have no problem getting another job. Is he the right coach for this moment? Well, because of the continuity, I would say that right now he is. So that's where I'm at with it.
That's good. You and I are both on the same page. Now let's put you in a difficult position because that's what I like to do. Talk with Ryan Wood, Green Bay Press Gazette Packers beat writer. Follow him on X at @ByRyanWood. We only have a couple minutes left here. We're doing this here on a Tuesday, right? You still got them and got to practice tomorrow. Nothing on Christmas day after. Then they play on Saturday night. As we sit, do you like the Packers in this game?
I do. It has a lot more to do with Baltimore than it has with my opinions on the Green Bay Packers. I don't think the Packers are a viable Super Bowl contender with this amount of injuries. That's where I'm at with them. The Ravens just haven't been good.
Nope.
They haven't been good all year. I've waited all year. It's week 17 now for the Ravens with Lamar Jackson, who may or may not play with the back injury this week, to be good. They are not good. So at some point, if a team keeps telling you who they are, you have to believe them by week 17. I've got the Packers at home.
Yep, I'm with you. I don't care if it's Love or if it's Malik Willis. Now, if it's Tune, I'm out on that pick completely if it ends up being Tune. But if it's Willis or Jordan Love, I'm with you. I think that's going to happen. So you actually get off on Christmas then? So that means you actually get to spend time with the family, the kids, and all that?
I have my kids every other Christmas. I'm divorced, so I have a very firm rule.
So you don't have kids? Wait. Do you have kids on Christmas this year?
I do. If I have my kids on Christmas, I'm not working. If
I was going to sucker him into coming to Oak Creek. If he didn't have his kids, I was like, perfect. Nope. You've got nothing to do. Come on now, Ryan Wood. But no,
the schedule worked out perfectly for me this week where nothing on Thursday. I wasn't going to work anyway. 2 years ago when they had the game on Christmas Eve in Carolina, I actually missed that trip because I had my kids on Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about getting back. So, yeah, it's going to be a good week.
That'll be fun. How many trees are you up to in your house?
I have one, which is, the standard, the standard requisite number, Sparky.
I'll make a deal with you. I will make a deal with you. That's not really a deal. I'm going to try and get you to say something. If the Mets win another World Series, you buy another tree.
If the Mets win another World Series, I can tell you right now, I'll buy a Mets tree. I'll buy a Mets many things. It'll be like Mets throw up all over my house.
You keep this. We have this. He's going to get a second tree if the Mets win one.
All right.
Okay. Do you plan on still being alive in 2060? We can revisit this.
No, David Stearns will figure it out. I love David Stearns.
So? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he'll figure it out. I know people in New York are all mad at David Stearns. He'll figure it out.
Yeah, a little bit.
He will. Ryan Wood, Green Bay Press Gazette, Packers beat writer. Follow him on X at @ByRyanWood. Enjoy your Christmas. Enjoy your kids. We'll talk to you next week.
You do the same. Happy holidays.
Take care, buddy. There he is, Ryan Wood, joining us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. I mean, one tree, man. I know that's what everybody does except us.
Yeah, normal people.
But you know what the great thing was last night?
What's that?
Went to the grocery store. I think it was last night. Grocery store, and there's a lady in front of me, and then me and Kay, kids are behind. And the lady at the cash register was talking to my 3-year-old. And she's like, "Oh, you got Christmas tree? Yeah, Christmas tree. Oh, yeah." And then I was like, "Oh, she's got her own Christmas tree." And I was like, "What color's your Christmas tree?" And she goes, she goes, "Pink." And the lady cashier goes, "Oh, I have a pink tree too." Oh, she's like, "I've got a white tree. Do you have a white tree?" And 3-year-old's like, "Yep." So then she come to find out she also has a bunch of Christmas trees. So we got to have this whole conversation. And I'm pretty sure the lady that was in front of us, who she was checking out, was mortified by the conversation of how many Christmas trees.
Yeah, I would assume so because you guys are all crazy with
it's so good.
Way too many Christmas trees that you said you didn't even take all of them down this year. You've left half of them up.
Yep. Yeah, we did. We took down the ones in the kitchen and the living room, and the rest stayed.
You might as well just leave them all up. You might as well just decorate them for each holiday then. Just leave them all up around the house.
That has been considered. We have had that conversation. Yes, that is true. We have, but it just gets harder. Like Valentine's Day, we have Valentine's Day, right? We do the pink tree for Valentine's Day. So yes, we have the Halloween tree, which is black. So we make that work for Halloween. We can do that. There are Easter decorations, but we really never fully got into doing a tree for Easter. But that also is a possibility. There are 4th of July decorations that you can buy in stores. Now people have 4th of July trees.
St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's decorations for trees too. See, what y'all don't realize is y'all think I'm crazy. There's a reason why these stores sell.
We know
why,
it.
Shush. Why these people in these stores and online sell sell decorations for trees for all these holidays? Want to know why? Because people have trees up in their house all year round. That's why.
Well, I feel
if
like
nobody else was doing it, they wouldn't sell decorations in the store.
I feel like 70% of people that are leaving their trees up are like me, where it's just you're just too lazy to put it up. You already put it up for the month, so you got to leave it up for like 3 months, and then you're going through like St. Patrick's Day again at that point. So you might as well decorate a little bit then. There's somebody in my apartment complex that just has a skeleton that's just sitting outside that they just dress up for each holiday.
Yes.
It's because they don't want to bring it in, or because that's the one decoration that just works.
Yeah. And you just convert the skeleton in whatever you want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's wearing a Santa suit right now.
Nice. Okay, then. Other side, he is Charlie Houston. See Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Coming up next, would you want the Bears a third time in the playoffs? Or would you prefer to avoid him? Ryan Wood said if I was the Packers, I'd want him. What about you? Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on X and YouTube, streaming live at WI Sports Radio. Also can stream us, not the video portion, but the audio portion at wisportsradio.com. Find all the shows that you may or miss or interviews you may have missed, all the podcasts right there, wisportsradio.com. Stream us live. And podcast-wise, you can download us wherever you download your favorite podcast app. Wisconsin Sports Radio Daily. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. beautiful, beautiful thing, that touchdown by Romeo Dobbs. Unfortunately, then he went and screwed up the onside kick, and the Packers end up losing to the Chicago Bears. Highlight courtesy of Fox News. Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Charlie Usen, other side of the glass, producing still to come. Fantasy football with Joe Bartel of RotoWire Fantasy Sports. He'll join us coming up at 4:20. If you have any questions for him as you're in the playoffs, obviously you can text that in as well right now, or you can call in yourself at 4:20 when he joins us. Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. We'll hear from Matt LaFleur coming up before that at 4 o'clock in their Green and Gold update. Charlie Sounds of the Day in the next segment, where he picks the top 3 clips from around the world of sports. Looking forward to that too. Right now, asking you this: would you want the Bears a third time in the playoffs? Because it's looking like it could be a 2-7 matchup, the Packers in the 7, the Bears in the 2 seed. Or would you prefer not to have to play them again? Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Also can comment in our dugout chat, whether it be on X or on YouTube at WI Sports Radio as we stream live. Charlie Usen, you're a Bears fan, Chicago Charlie, as we like to call you. Do you want the Packers again? Let's change the question for you.
Yes, of course I do. Of course I want to have an opportunity to beat them again and beat them in the playoffs. I think this is a chance for the Bears. If you can face the Packers in the playoffs, that's going to be the most watched game out of any playoff game. I guarantee you, no doubt that people are going to have their eyes on that. And if you can beat them again on the biggest national stage possible in the playoffs, I mean, that is the key to taking that next step as an organization. I think the Packers on the other side of things should have a similar kind of approach to this. I think right now, a lot of people feel like they're right on that verge. It's not like the Bears where you've had this quick rise and now you need to prove yourself. It's that you need to burst out of that little bubble that you're in right now in the middle of the top, I guess, is the best way to put it. And the Packers should want to go beat the Bears in the playoffs again on that national stage and say, you know what, we're still the cream of the crop of the NFC North, not these guys that are a bunch of young, kind of cocky out there wearing the cheese graters after the win, right? Stuff like that. You want to put them in their place.
Yeah, the cheese grater, that's fun. DJ Moore had it on. Caleb Williams was he handing out, food or something? Or toys. He had it on the other day as well. And as I said yesterday, be careful. That's all I'm going to say, Bears fans. Be careful. Y'all always are premature on your celebrations. And then as we move forward, you realize that you acted like idiots. And then you just disappear from social media until the next time you feel like you have a chance to take a shot at the Green Bay Packers. So, again, just not saying you can't dance on the Packers' grave. By all means, do what you got to do. That's what fans do to rivals, right? I get it. Be careful. I would say this. I would love the idea of playing the Chicago Bears again in the playoffs. I do. And the reason I do goes back to what Ryan Wood said in the last segment, which I find to be true, which is you're better than them. Like I don't know other way to put it. You're better than them. Now, you'd be way better than them had everybody been healthy. If you had Micah Parsons, Tucker Kraft, Devontae Wyatt, like there's no question you have the more talented roster. When both rosters are healthy, you are definitely more talented than they are, without question. Now, you could sit here and have a conversation about who the better coach is, right? They both think they're smarter than everybody else. But between Ben Johnson and Matt LaFleur, there's a track record with Matt LaFleur. There's not with Ben Johnson as a head coach, at least at this point. So you don't know necessarily the answer to that. What will Ben Johnson look like in a playoff game? We don't know. How will he go about it as a head coach versus as an offensive coordinator? We don't know the answer to that question. And how will pressure play into Matt LaFleur in the playoffs if there is this air of uncertainty truly going on in Lambeau Field as far as whether or not Ed Policy is sold on Matt LaFleur at this point?
I mean, I would say, honestly, Matt LaFleur, in the times he has gone to the playoffs with this Green Bay Packers team, you have seen almost a completely different offense every time he goes into the playoffs. So I think there's uncertainty with Matt LaFleur and what he's going to do too outside of his job security. I think this is a situation where he has to go in there and do what he's done so far this season and not stray away from the game plan just because he gets worried about the opponent or because he gets worried about the talent that he has on the field. If you have a system and you want to run it, go out there and run it. Don't be scared of what you've been doing all year.
Mason Crosby, maybe at the beginning of the year, I want to say it was, when I filled in on that show for Mitch Thundernellis hosting, said that he thinks sometimes Matt LaFleur coaches scared.
I think so too.
That is not a trait that you want to be having, because if that's a former player saying that and seeing that, then that vibe can be felt throughout the locker room as well. And if I'm being honest, which I always am, I think that's part of the reason why all of a sudden now he's being far more aggressive and wanting to go for it on fourth downs versus what he was like with Aaron Rodgers.
Well, and I think the thing I've noticed with Matt LaFleur, it's not that he goes into games scared. It's that the moment one thing goes wrong, he gets scared then. And that's where the problem is. If he went into these games with a conservative game plan of trying to keep the ball close to his team, trying to waste that time and go through that, yeah, that works. But when you go in with this game plan of being aggressive and Jordan Love throws a pick in the first couple of drives, and all of a sudden you go away from throwing the ball with Jordan Love, that gets everybody's mentality all screwed up. You have to go in with a game plan and run that game plan.
The talk and text line number is simple. This is what I need you to answer. Would you want the Bears a third time in the playoffs, or would you prefer to avoid them? Nicolay Law talk and text line 414-677-1250. Schlitz hat Patrick on the talk and text line. Bring on the Bears, the rivalry, the history. And with 2 games of film, the plan can be much better. A bad game by some measure on the Packers' part and still almost won that game. We got this, says Schlitz hat Patrick. Again, to Patrick for coming down, hanging out with us at the Brat Bowl, at the Brat Stop in Kenosha last Friday leading into the game. Saw a bunch of Packer fans down there, a bunch of Bear fans, and had a really good time doing all the shows down there. And it was good. Now, will there be a Brat Bowl 4 leading up to a potential playoff matchup between the Packers and the Bears? I don't know. I'm going to have to stay tuned to find out if that indeed goes down again. Looking forward to seeing if we get to that point. I just think, number one, if the Bears go into this thing on a winning streak of some sort, which it looks like maybe they will, that's probably not great for the Packers to have that type of momentum for the Bears feeling themselves a little bit going into that game. However, if there's a stumble and a fall and a choke job pulled off by the Bears here, and they lose their last 2 games to the Niners and the Lions, the Packers win theirs, and now all of a sudden the Packers are the 2 and the Bears are the 7. If by some coincidence that thing happens, then everything changes, because now they're coming to Lambeau. Now they're doubting themselves. Now it's really advantage Green Bay Packers if by some stroke of luck, and there would be a lot of luck involved, I think, if it turned out that way.
Well, and I think the Bears are going to go into these last 2 games of the season probably healthier than they've been the past couple of weeks against the Cleveland Browns in a really tough defense. They went out there and dominated without Rome Odunze. Last week, without Rome Odunze and Luther Burden, important pieces on defense, they went out there and still won a game against a really good team. It's going to be hard to beat them.
Would you want the Bears a third time in the playoffs, or would you prefer to avoid them? Doug and Racine, you're next on the Nicolay Law talking text line. What's up, Doug?
I definitely want them. We almost beat him with a backup quarterback. They targeted our quarterback, took him out. I don't know. I want them. I want it bad.
I think a lot of Packer fans want to face the Bears again. Have a good holidays, Doug. Take care. I think a lot of people do. Ziggy back on the talk of text line. Hell yeah, I want the Bears. Like I wanted the Cubs. I want to end their season, says Ziggy. I did not want the Cubs. I did not want to face the traitor in the postseason. Why? Because I'm a scaredy cat. That's why. I didn't want to deal with it, because I didn't want to be in a position where they could end our season and then have to listen to those fans for the entire offseason about how they ended their season. That was the main reason I didn't want to deal with that. And I was concerned that the Brewers potentially could lose that series. And I did not want to have to go through that. I don't feel as nervous about a third game against the Bears as I did going into that Brewers-Cubs series, if I'm being honest.
I think the one thing you have to learn coming out of that Brewers-Cubs series, though, is that, yeah, you may have wanted that if you're one of those fans like Ziggy that's talking about that this is something you want to put them in their place, to end their season. The Brewers also came out of that series just tired, and you saw it against Los Angeles Dodgers. Yeah, that was a really good team that goes on to win the World Series again. But at the same time, that is a team that is burnt at that point. And I think the Packers, if you have to go up against the Bears again and have another tight game in the playoffs again, and I keep saying this, these last 2 games of the season, the Ravens and Vikings, yes, they're not the best teams, but they're going to play hard at the end of the season. Sure. The Ravens still need to fight for a playoff spot. The Vikings have looked a lot better over the past 5 weeks or so.
They may need to fight to keep Harbaugh's job by the sounds of it.
Exactly. This is a situation where it's not going to be easy, and going into a playoff game against the Chicago Bears, yeah, maybe you want to end their season, but if you beat them, how beat up are you going to be? How tired are you going to be to go and play LA or Seattle or even Tampa Bay at this point, man? That's a tough matchup to get through. I'd rather avoid that.
See, and that's the other thing too. I think if you're the Packers, the Pro Bowl voting that just happened and came out, Micah Parsons, only dude that made it for the Green Bay Packers. Before I went to bed last night, Matt Schneidman was pretty convinced Jordan Love was a Pro Bowler. When I woke up this morning and Jordan Love wasn't a Pro Bowler and Dak Prescott was, it was like, whew. Oh, that's a tough pill to swallow. That ends up being the case.
None of those guys led fan voting for the NFC.
Correct.
Caleb Williams led the fan voting for the NFC too.
Correct. God bless Chicago for being a large market.
They voted everybody. They're like Bears were top 3 in every position.
As they should be, because you've been bad for so long. Every fan's like, hell yeah, I'm going to vote, even though it means nothing. But I'm going to vote. Isn't it kind of disturbing that that's 3 years of starting for Jordan Love, no Pro Bowl?
A little bit. I mean, he's probably going to end.
Means anything.
He's
really,
going to end up in it too. Especially like people are going to drop out, like we've seen the past 3 years for the Pro Bowl. You end up getting the Tyler Huntleys randomly into the Pro Bowl. I think Jordan Love is probably primed to end up in that, and it doesn't mean as much nowadays. But yeah, it feels like he deserves better than that. At the same time, the 3 guys that got voted in front of him, Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold, and Dak Prescott, have all played at different points this season at an MVP level too. So they deserve it just as much as Jordan Love.
I can't get on the Sam Darnold train. I know a lot of people are. I just can't bring myself.
This is 2 straight years of bringing a team to the playoffs, one of the best teams in the league.
You've seen that dude throw like 3 picks in a game, and you've
seen Jordan Love throw 3 picks in a game.
But it's just, I wouldn't trust Sam Darnold in any big game. There's no chance. I definitely trust Jordan Love more in a big game than I trust Sam Darnold in a big game. And then you get to Dak Prescott for Pro Bowl votes and how that looks. And you look at the offensive line names, and you realize, man, we don't have anybody.
Mm-mm.
And you don't have one guy on offensive line Pro Bowl voting that you could even argue belongs in that conversation for Pro Bowl
The
voting.
only person in that group that got a lot of votes was Sean Ryan. I think he ended 3rd overall in the fan voting for center, and he only played center for half the season. So that's kind of underwhelming.
Right. Like that's just something to me. It's like, I don't know if it's disappointing per se, or whatever else. It's kind of more of a reality check of like, man, like I feel like we're pretty good there. We're okay there. But then when you look at the actual true studs in this whole deal, you realize that, okay, maybe this isn't as good as maybe we think it is. And they're making do with what they have.
Doesn't that make you appreciate Matt LaFleur a little bit more? Doesn't seeing the voting come out and not seeing any Packers really in that group, like you got to love Matt LaFleur just a little bit more.
See? And now somebody's going to call you a show. Way to go. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. In a world of tenders, Wendy's decided to make something more juicy, more crispy, and more dippable. New chicken tenders are here. Some may call them tendies, and yes, it's fun to say and even more fun to eat. Wendy's new chicken tendies come with an insane new sauce lineup. New Wendy's signature, new sweet chili, or new scorching hot, or choose one of the classics, honey barbecue, creamy ranch, or honey mustard. Whatever you choose, they're the perfect vessel to dip all of your tendies in. Wendy's new chicken tenders are so juicy, crispy, and dippable, you'll remember them forever. Gotta have tendies. It's gotta be Wendy's. Charlie, Sounds of the Day, brought to you by Prize Picks. Up next. Oh, it's close. Tomorrow night, baby. The big guy, he's coming tomorrow night. It's happening. Sparky with you. Charlie using another side of the glass. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy's. Nothing says Christmas like Prize Picks, right? It's the best time of the year, and some of the most exciting games are around the corner. Keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Again, use that code SPARKY in order to get that done, right? SPARKY when you download Prize Picks. On Prize Picks, you can simply pick 2 to 6 players, pick more or less on their stat projection, then watch your lineups light up like the holidays. Literally, you pick a sport, they've got it. Pretty much everything. What's super exciting is that Prize Picks now has early payouts. So if your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. So don't miss any of the action this season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code SPARKY, SPARKY. Get $50 instantly in lineups when you play $5. Again, that's code SPARKY on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly in lineups when you play $5. Again, if you play $5 lineups, you're getting 11 lineups for $5, man. Why wouldn't you use code SPARKY on Prize Picks? Win or lose, you'll get $50 in lineups just for playing, guaranteed. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details. Time now to get to the segment that Prize Picks sponsors.
1, 2, 3. What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, time to get to it. Charlie Usen, where are we going first?
All right, so first up, we're going to head over to Pablo Torre Finds Out, where he released information saying Senator Brian Schatz of Hawaii plans on proposing legislation to regulate sports betting in the future.
I'm told that Senator Brian Schatz, the senator from Hawaii, is talking with leagues and players associations and sports books about federal legislation that will heavily regulate prop bets. I'm also told that Senator Schatz is aiming to ensure that illegal offshore sports books are also captured in this federal legislation. And so what does this all mean? I want to give you a quote that I got from Senator Schatz, and he said this: "In just a few years, sports betting has grown into a billion-dollar industry, changing the way fans engage with sports while providing new revenue streams for leagues. But when every in-game moment and outcome can be wagered on, it creates real risks. Integrity is essential to competitive sport, and recent allegations about gambling in the NBA and MLB have made it clear we need federal protections. We're working on legislation to stop the kind of prop betting that gives a single bad actor the ability to manipulate a specific singular outcome for a big payout. This is about protecting fans and restoring public trust in sports."
Okay, we just did Prize Picks, right?
We did indeed.
And that's what we're talking about, right? More or less. Jordan Love throwing for 300 yards, or Derrick Henry rushing for 100 yards, or whatever. And what's happened is you've seen a lot of these players going even deeper than that, right? Of, oh, second pitch is going to be a ball, or whatever a pitcher is going to do in the first inning. And it gets even deeper than what we were just talking about.
Color of the Gatorade and a
Super Bowl or whatever, right?
Crazy.
That's been going on forever. I don't really care about it.
But it started as fun, and now people are like, they put real money on that. Like,
absolutely.
A lot of real money.
But you're only allowed to get your money back if you get it right. I mean, it's not like it's odds of 10-1 or something like that. I don't think. Not that I would ever bet on Gatorade, but either way. I said this to you and Tommy weeks ago, that I could see a world in where this is all going to get shut down and none of it's going to be allowed anymore. I could absolutely see the government stepping in and ending it all in one swift motion of, this is now illegal across the country. It's no longer allowed. Sorry to everybody. Now, the big reason of why that probably will never happen is because there is too much money involved for all of these companies and the amount of money that they're making. And normally, if somebody is making a lot of money, their businesses don't get told to be shut down if they're making a ton of money by the government. Normally, that does not happen. So hopefully that does not happen. I don't know what type of legislation you could possibly pass to curb what is happening in professional sports. I can't wait to see what it's going to be, because they're trying to get the pro players to stop doing this stuff. They're not trying to get you or I to stop doing it. They don't care about us. They care about it being legitimate, because now people are starting to question the legitimacy of sports and who's on the take. And did he really throw that ball that far outside, or was there something else going on? Like, all of that stuff. People questioning referees. You had the Tim Donaghy thing in the NBA years ago. But even before the Tim Donaghy thing, this conspiracy theory about NBA refs has been going on since the 80s. Like, that's not something new. That's always been a thing. The NBA lottery, there's always been conspiracy theories about that for years. They had to change that system several times over before they could get some belief from everybody involved that it wasn't being screwed with. So I just don't know if there's ever a way to truly fix this other than just to completely outlaw it. And I don't think they'll ever do that. All right, what's next, Charlie?
Well, since you brought up the NBA and all the different betting scandals that they've had, Adam Silver was on CBS this morning discussing whether or not sports betting is too accessible right now, especially for the NBA.
1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't this the same guy that wanted to put casinos in all the stadiums?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you worry that the culture, the accessibility of it may be part of the problem here?
I mean, to your point, there's a huge growing legalized sports betting business, and now the prediction markets are part of that as well. There's also probably an even larger illegal sports betting market. So for me, the options are illegal betting or legal betting. And given that choice, we'd much rather there be legal betting where there's transparency. For example, in the case you mentioned before, we spotted it first along with the betting companies because there was aberrational betting on the so-called unders for that game. So we think we're much better off if there's going to be betting, and there will be, that it be in a legal, transparent framework rather than be controlled, by bad forces and kept underground.
And he was referencing the Terry Rozier case from 2.5 years ago, the game that they're talking about.
Didn't he play for 2.5 years since it happened?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did.
I'm just checking. So you knew, but you let him play, Commissioner?
They found it before everybody else,
but
yeah.
You were on it, but you were okay with it, apparently, because you let him then continue to play and didn't do anything. Because according to you, you didn't find anything. Isn't that what he told the feds?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't find anything. We don't know what's going on. I mean, seriously. You know what? If we had casinos in every one of our stadiums, we could keep a better eye on this and know what's really going on. If we had casinos,
it's going to happen anyway.
If we had a casino at Fiserv Forum and all of that, then everything would be fine. That's really what we have to do here. We got to get the owners involved for every team so they can profit off of this, and we'll have better eyes on it. Yeah, okay. I like Adam Silver. Sometimes, though, I just shake my head some of the stuff he says. And everything involving gambling that comes out of his mouth, I pretty much shake my head at every time he talks about this.
It's kind of tanked his reputation over the past couple of years.
Yes, every time. All right, go ahead.
And last up here, we're going to get away from gambling and talk about Kirby Smart and the message he sends to his players with transfer portal news flying around during the college football playoffs.
We're focused on this team. I think it would be, remiss to say that we're focused on roster management. We're not focused on it. We're focused on, prep and getting better. And for a while, it's been like, intrinsically looking at ourselves and asking each player, did you come here to develop? Did you truly come here to develop? Because if you did, all your buddies are out there right now. Everybody's, announcing what they're doing. I'm announcing that I'm going in the portal. I'm announcing that I'm re-signing. How about you announce that you're getting better and you're going to practice and actually do what the 20 and 30 years of college football players did before you, which was practice in December when they're on good teams and get better. Because if you're going to play somewhere else, you know what you need to do? You need to get better. If you're going to play here, you know what you need to do? You need to get better. If you want to go to the National Football League and play, this is your last chance to get better. Because they're not going to give you much opportunity. They're going to cut you or keep you based on how you do. They don't get to practice in pads but so many days. So development occurs in December for us, and that's what we've been focused on.
Not for the Badgers, because we don't go to bowl games anymore, so we don't get to develop players. That's unfortunate. Meanwhile, most of the Badgers roster is in the portal already, or at least of the good players are in the portal. But this whole thing of not worrying about the portal, I promise you, Charlie, Kirby Smart has people that are just 100% committed to the portal.
Poaching people from other teams. This whole situation, he talks about, we're just focused on us. We're just focused on us.
He is. He's got other people focused on the portal.
Exactly. Why wouldn't you at this point, though?
Yes,
Again,
every team does.
It's so weird. He's talking out one side of his mouth and doing something else on the other side. It's so weird that he's having this mentality of being bigger and better than these other teams, these other programs that we're so focused on winning because we win all the time. But, dude, when you have 3 to 4 guys already probably committed to you from other schools across the country, don't give me that.
No. And I agree with what he said as far as no matter if you're here or if you're somewhere else, you're going to have to get better than you are because you are not going to just go dominate in the NFL as a sophomore in college. First of all, you can't get into the draft as a sophomore. So regardless if you're here somewhere else, you're going to have to play another
For
year.
now, you can't get into the draft. Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to play another year. But again, with the amount of money that's being thrown out there, Arch Manning, who would have been a first-round pick, now says, I'm good. I'll sit back, collect more NIL money, get better at my craft, and maybe next year I'll like a team that's at the top of the draft, and hopefully it's not Cleveland. And if it is Cleveland, they'll have taken a quarterback again, and they won't take me, hopefully.
But also, if that's where your focus is sitting at in this offseason, you get guys like Garrett Nussmeier this season with LSU who had a complete downfall because that's all they were worried about, whether he was going to go in the draft or not. Lenore Sellers had a downfall this season, South Carolina. Yeah. Again, if you're focusing on that, how can you be focused on getting better too?
That's a great point. Great point. Good question to ask those guys that are going through it. And it's funny because Coach Kirby's like, hey, Kirby Smart, hey, are you worried about developing? Yeah, my bank account, coach. That's why I'm leaving, man. I'm getting more in Alabama than I am here. If you up your offer, I'll stay here, coach. I'm more worried about developing my bank account than I am worried about how many catches I have in a season. I want to be paid. And how can you argue with it? Because not everybody's going to make it in the league. So if you make millions now, make millions now. Coming up next, Green and Gold Update. We'll hear from Matt LaFleur straight ahead, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in. It is the third and final hour. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky, Charlie Usen hanging out with you. Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up comes up from 5 until 6. Thanks for hanging out with us around the state. 99.7 FM, WNFL, Green Bay, Appleton. I had heard rumblings today that maybe you could get it as far south as Mequon, maybe. That is a gigantic signal.
We're everywhere, baby.
99.7 FM. So make sure to give that a listen. In Wausau, 93.9 The Game. Duluth, Superior, 710 The Game. And in Milwaukee and southeastern Wisconsin, 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Thanks for being a part of the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Thanks for listening each and every day. Always encourage people to participate with the Nicolay Law Talk and text line if you can at 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. It's 4 o'clock, which means
it's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right, time to hear from everybody's favorite, Matt LaFleur. Talked earlier today. You never know really what you're going to get from Matt LaFleur. Normally, it means me getting upset at some point when we play Matt LaFleur, and then Charlie just laughs and thinks it's the funniest thing in the world, and all of that fun stuff. Matt LaFleur, Charlie made a bunch of cuts, so we'll just play a couple of these to see what we have here. Matt LaFleur gets asked about Josh Jacobs.
What's your plan with Jacobs this week?
He'll be limited.
Shocker.
Would you consider just giving him a week off to get right, or does playing through it is just the way that has to go about it?
Well, I wish we were in a better position to do that. If we feel like it's, this is where the collaboration comes in, I think, with myself, with him, and our athletic trainers, in terms of what's best for the short term, as well as trying to weigh in the long term.
Let me be a part of the collaboration. You all don't think of the long term. You all only think of the short term. That has been the problem for the last several years with this coaching staff and this training staff. You all consistently play for the short term and don't think about week 12 or week 13 when you're in like week 3. Instead, you're too worried about winning week 4 and not worried about later and potentially hurting the guy further. Jair Alexander, amongst others, that had that happen. That's the issue. And the collaboration, stop it. Every time Josh Jacobs says, I'm playing, you go, okay, yeah, sounds good, Josh. Okay, yeah, go ahead, you play. Yay, Josh Jacobs. That's what happens. Ain't no collaboration. You ain't going to say no to that guy. You ain't going to step to that guy. It's not happening. Josh Jacobs wants to play. Josh Jacobs is going to play. Josh Jacobs only plays a half because he continuously gets hurt and can't get through the pain. It's all right. Then we'll play Wilson. You know we're going to go right back through this again. Saturday night, going to be at home against Baltimore. Jacobs is going to go out there. Everybody's going to go, yay, Josh Jacobs, man, he's a dog. He's tough. He's playing through it. And then he ain't playing in the third quarter. And he's like, well, he tried. I give him credit for trying.
And then they're all going to say they love Emmanuel Wilson so much.
Same crap I said last week. Everybody was getting mad at me about Josh Jacobs. And what happened? He fumbles the ball, and then you don't see him. If he goes back out there this week and gets popped because of the pain or whatever, fumbles another ball, and it costs him again, is anybody going to say anything? Or everybody going to be like, he tried. We give him credit for trying.
I mean, probably. I feel like somebody will probably be out there. You don't think so at all?
Nope. Nope. Josh Jacobs is a dog. He fights through everything. He plays through everything.
They're not going to give him the injury excuse?
Listen, hell no. And I'm telling you that I appreciate the fact that the dude wants to play through pain. I appreciate the fact that he wants to be out there. But at some point, you've got to look at this and go, we're a playoff team. I have to have him as close to healthy as I can have him when we get going in the playoffs. We have 3 weeks until we play our first playoff game. I have to have him. So if that means he doesn't play against the Ravens or the Vikings and Emmanuel Wilson and Chris Brooks have to be that guy, then so be it. You're not playing. We'll have you in the playoffs, and then we'll go, and you'll feel better, and you'll be better because you feel better. Like that should be the end of the conversation. We shouldn't be sitting here going through this whole, we're collaborative. Stop.
But we'll wait till Christmas for the Lions game because that's what Matt LaFleur loves to do.
I would love to know how many players that begged and pleaded and yelled and screamed that says, I'm playing, that he held firm on and said no to. In his entire career in Green Bay, I would love to know how many players he stood toe-to-toe with for 2 or 3 days who wanted to play and he wouldn't let them. I'd love to know. I bet you there's not one.
Well, I bet there's probably a few, but they're guys that weren't so important. They were players that maybe didn't have to be on the field, that you wanted to see a rookie play a little bit so far this season or something like that. But any star player, no shot he ever argued with them.
Absolutely crazy. Okay, so here's an update on Jordan Love and Malik Willis.
Jordan's still in the protocol, and will he practice today?
He's in the protocol, and he'll practice per the protocol, so he'll be limited.
What about Malik?
He will be limited as well.
Jordan and Malik have a ways to go, but do you feel a lot better right now than you did 48 hours ago with where they were?
Well, I mean, not necessarily. We got to see how they progress throughout the course of the week. So by no means are they in the clear.
What does the concussion protocol look like for a quarterback? Like, is he like in all the meetings? So it's like from that perspective as a business as
Listen, I'm not going to talk about out of respect to the concussion protocol. There's stuff that I don't even know, like all the hoops they got to go through. So I just feel like it's out of respect for that. I'm just not going to talk about it.
Hold on a second. I can't throw a flag on that comment by Matt LaFleur, if you don't mind. How, as a head coach, do you not know the stages of concussion protocol for your player to go through? How, as the head coach, do you not know if Jordan Love is in a meeting or not at this point? How do you not know concussion protocol as an NFL head coach? Well, with respect to concussion protocol, like it has feelings. I'm not going to talk about it. He asked you if he's in meetings or not because it's not physical. It's a fair question. It's yes or no. And instead you avoid it. Now, again, if I'm the league and I hear that, do you know what I think? He better not be in no damn meetings. Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to I'm going to call whoever I got to call in the building to go, hey, is he in meetings? Because LaFleur could have just said no, and he avoided the question without saying yes or no and moved on. Now I'm going to be suspicious if I'm the league that they're skirting the rules over there in Green Bay.
Which is something you don't want this late in the season with a player as important as Jordan Love.
Again, some of this stuff just drives me absolutely bonkers with him. Let's see here. Here's another one. This one, talking about Derrick Henry and having to deal with him running the football on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you always, when you're going against, really, it's every team, you have a tackling plan. And certainly some guys with as dynamic as he is with that stiff arm, you better have a plan on how you're going to take this guy down. And for the most part, for most teams that are playing against these guys, it comes down to having population at the ball. You got to have a lot of hats at the ball because once he gets going, he's really tough to take down.
Yes. That I agree with. As many hats as possible, hopping onto his back and going for a ride for 5 yards. That's exactly what has to happen. This has been one of the better tackling teams in all of football all year long. This cannot be the game where all of a sudden we forget how to tackle properly. Because if you throw a shoulder at Derrick Henry, you're going to bounce off. He's going to keep going. Tell you right now. And I've seen that a lot. Bullard wants to throw a shoulder. Valentine wants to throw a shoulder. Keyshawn Nixon is famous for not knowing how to wrap up and tackle somebody. He throws a shoulder and bounces off and goes rolling away. You do that against this cat and you don't try and wrap up. Nighty-night, Charlie using nighty-night.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge issue. Derrick Henry is not a guy you want to mess around with. Again, he's quietly had another great season for him, and quietly is because the Baltimore Ravens haven't been on that national radar like they have been the past few years. this is a situation where you can't underplay them. You can't go out there and have expectations of this team not being able to beat you, because Derrick Henry very much can beat you if you let him do it.
Yes, absolutely agree with you on that. So there's your wrap up from Matt LaFleur and his thoughts on the Green Bay Packers and what now goes into this going forward. I guess we got one more here I want to get to. LaFleur talking about red zone issues for the Green Bay Packers.
I think everything that you can think of has hurt us. You know what I mean? In terms of some of it, you always got to give credit, I think, where credit's due. And there's some things that teams have done that kept us a little off balance. So, like, yeah, there's certainly some times I wish we had a better play call. And then there's times where we have to absolutely execute better. And we got to focus and finish. Whether it's a block, whether it's finishing with the ball. I mean, we had a turnover. I mean, we've had penalties. Like, you can't, those are drive stopping plays, obviously. And you can't have those down there, period. You can't have them anywhere, but especially when it gets, the tighter you get, the harder it is typically to punch it into the end zone. You just don't have as much real estate. Your menu shrinks down quite a bit. You want to stay ahead of the sticks. Like, if you get in those 3rd and long situations, that is tough to convert in those situations. So I just think down in and down out, we have to be much better and more efficient to put ourselves in better situations.
You know what concerns me?
What's that?
Did he take accountability anywhere in that answer?
Nope, just said his playbook got a little smaller. You know, that they had issues everywhere on the field, but never said, yeah, it was my bad. You know, I didn't get them ready enough.
I mean, realistically, a lot of that comes down to player execution, obviously, right? In every facet of the game, I don't care where you are on the field, who your coach is or who your position coach is. If you screw up, it's on the dude with the helmet on. Absolutely, it's on the dude with the helmet on. However, you also have to be better at putting your players in a position to score points, too. Like, I defend Matt LaFleur left and right. I've been doing it now for really all season on this show. But you are able to scheme guys open in other parts of the field. And I realize, right, you have less area to work with once you're inside the 5 and so forth. But you used to be a really good red zone team. They used to call it the gold zone, or was that McCarthy? I don't know. Somebody called it the gold zone at one point. Really good at it. And just like play calling at other areas of the field, I think there is an art to calling plays once things get tight in that area of figuring out how to score points. And that has been a struggle as of late. Now, that does not mean it can't change around and they can't be really good at it this week and next week and in the playoffs. Of course they can. But a lot of that has to do with play call, play design, and so forth from the coach, and having buy-in from the players that those plays that you call will work if they execute it. But when you call a play and nobody's open and it's not working, then there becomes doubt.
Well, and the past 2 weeks, one of your best red zone options in Christian Watson, was not on the field for half of a game, and the second game just wasn't 100%. You could see it in the way that they were running routes with him, the type of plays they were running with him. It just didn't feel like he was all the way there, and you see how drastically that changes this offense. I get it that in the red zone, that's going to be a drastic change, but for the rest of this offense, you can't let it bleed into that as well.
Correct. And the other part about it, too, is trusting your run game. Because a lot of times when you get down inside the 5, you want to be able to punch that ball in, running the football, not having to throw it. And you especially don't want to see 5 wide or 4 wide in a shotgun formation at the damn 1-yard line. Don't want to see that either.
Hard to do that when your running back, your star running back, is fumbling the ball in the red zone.
Well, yeah, that, and your offensive line hasn't been the best at run blocking most of the year either. I mean, you picked last week, but if you're just saying in general, they've had issues. And it wasn't until Belton got in there on the right side with Zach Tom and Ryan got to center that they started to actually move people on that side of the football.
And then the left side of the line, you still are struggling with.
Yes, because Aaron Banks. But again, if and when Zach Tom gets back, if he gets back this week, now you feel better about running the football, even though, again, the Ravens statistically look to be pretty good. But when we had Mike Popovic on from 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore in the first hour, he said the only reason those numbers look so good is because they're chasing all the time and they can't stop the pass. So that's part of the reason why the rushing numbers don't look good.
Well, and much like Josh Jacobs, I know you did give him the 1 week of rest in Zach Tom, but at the same time, you're always worrying about whether he's going to fall out of this game at some point. It's the same deal.
And that's been that way all year long with Zach Tom. He wasn't even a top vote getter for the Pro Bowl, right?
Because he hasn't been able to stay on the field consistently.
One Pro Bowler, by the way, if you're just tuning in. Micah Parsons, only
And he
one.
won't even play in it.
And he's not going to play. No, because he's out for the year. Absolutely correct. Time for some fantasy football talk. Normally we do this on Fridays, but today's the last show of the week for us. Tomorrow, Inside Wisconsin Sports, 6 to 9 with Josh Albrecht, Trevor Thomas. They'll be here live and in living color with you. And then from 9 to noon, it's going to be Tommy Wirtz and Mitch Thunder Nellis. So tune in for that. And then a best of replay of the Mason Crosby show from noon till 2, presented by Verizon. And then, everybody across the state and whatever station you listen to will probably go to their shoulder satellite programming of whoever it may be, ESPN, Fox Sports, whoever it may be around the state that you listen to on that radio station. Take a quick time out. Come back, do some fantasy football. Your chance to hop on. It's playoff time. I know y'all are in some tight matchups. Got championship matchups coming up or semifinals coming up. Nicolay Law Talk text line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. See Sparky Pfeiffer here. Charlie using other side of the glass. I brought in these peppermint, like, frosted cookies. And Charlie and I are the only ones that are eating them.
I didn't realize so many people were so opposed to peppermint.
Yes, neither did I. And Kay made these cookies are delicious. I was like, I'll bring them into work. Like, everybody loves food in our work. Everybody comes here for the free food half the time, right? So, okay, so many people don't like peppermint. I didn't know that was a thing.
Hey, to each their own, I guess. I'm more of a spearmint guy usually, too.
Spearmint?
But I do like peppermint. I think those cookies are delicious.
Spearmint. I've only had that as, like, gum.
Well, yeah, but you could probably have it in other things, too, I feel like. Either way, thank you, Mrs. Sparky, for the cookies.
Don't ever call her that again.
She
will
doesn't like
punch
that.
you in the face. Do not do that. And she's here, so definitely do not
she's
do
gonna
that.
come in and punch
she
me
will
in the
come in
face.
here and punch you in the face or elsewhere. Joining us now to talk some fantasy football is our guy, Joe Bartel from RotoWire Fantasy Sports. Follow him on X at JB Fantasy Sports. Joins us now on video. How about it? His smiling face is right there on X and YouTube. Follow him or check us out at WI Sports Radio as we live stream this bad boy. How are we doing today, Joe Bartel? Are you a peppermint guy?
Yeah, the peppermint candy specifically, I don't like. I think a good cookie, any good cookie is totally fine with me, even if it's a peppermint one. But I would say probably no on that. My wife and my 4-year-old are all in and all that kind of candy, and I also like the I always call them like the sweetie one, the sweet candies that have
Swedish fish.
Well, but just the overall ones, like the fruity kind of candies. I'm all chocolate all the time, and I judge them every single time we have to stop at a gas station and somebody gets some sort of like air pop related thing. But I don't feel like the peppermint is in the same brand of it necessarily. But yeah, I'm much more chocolatey if we could go to that direction of candy.
I am 1000% on the chocolate bandwagon. I love people that say, "Oh boy, that was too sweet." No. That's not a thing. It's not too sweet. I don't care how much chocolate is in it. It's not too sweet. I cannot relate when I'm watching a cooking show on the Food Network and a judge goes, "Oh, this is too sweet." Then don't eat it. Give it to me. Like, what do you mean it's too sweet? That's not. I can't relate. Joe Bartel, you, along with Ryan Wood and Austin Herdina, who can't join us today for Follow the Money in the next segment from the Potawatomi Sportsbook, were all correct. All three of you said the Bears, and you were all correct. So how good do you feel about your prediction? Go ahead. I told you so. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't know if I felt like I was correct. It took a minor miracle for the Bears to even be in that spot to win that game. Was Saturday one of the worst losses I can recall of? Yes, as a Packer fan. I definitely
regular season losses.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking about 2014 and how much despair I was in with that Seahawks game. I still think the Packers would have won the Super Bowl over the Patriots, and along with the Buccaneers one, that one sticks with me to this day. Anytime I think about Packers disappointments, and my gosh, there are so many this season, might be joining that long list. There was a little part of me, and I think you're going to hate me for this. Actually, maybe this is you could get some content from
It's
caller.
Christmas in 2 days. Maybe we don't do this.
Well, I just was saying, I have so many wonderful memories of the Packers beating the Bears in various different ways in the playoffs in Week 18 and the Randall Cobb touchdown. I was rattling off 5 or 6 different lists or different items among the Packers beating the Bears. I didn't mind that the Bears get to have one, that they're going to have a moment that people in the stadium and the fans got to have one moment like that since we have had so many. Maybe I shouldn't be that kind because I know the Bears fans aren't kind to us, but there was a little part of me that was like, I mean, we were owed a little bit of a history making one because we've had so many times we've made history against the Bears.
Sure, I guess. Fine. But we were talking about this earlier as far as you want to play them a third time in the playoffs or not. And pretty much everybody says yes. Nobody is trying to avoid the Chicago Bears because I feel like everybody feels like they're a better team than the Chicago Bears. Having said that, let's get to a Week 17 start or sit in this one. How do you feel about the Buccaneers right now as we sit here today? Because they're going on to take on Miami Dolphins team that we all believe Mike McDaniel's going to keep his job, but he benched Tua. So from that perspective, you would assume Tampa Bay is going to get opportunities to get the ball, get short field, score a bunch of points.
Yeah, and the Dolphins defense just struggled mightily against Joe Burrow. He had his best game of the season last week for the Bengals. He had Chase Brown do really well as well too. it's been frustrating for a while in fantasy. Bucky Irving and whether or not he'd be available was probably one of the biggest stats points that we were following. He had caught a touchdown pass against the Eagles. I want to say it's week 5 now at this point. We're talking like October or November, and then had left the game afterwards or got injured after the game. And the report was that he'd be fine. Well, he ended up like 6 or 7 weeks, including the bye week, came right back before the fantasy playoffs. It's like, okay, thankfully, if you have made it through this long stretch of Bucky Irving, now he'll be able to help you out. Well, he hasn't been scoring touchdowns, hasn't been getting the volume as a pass catcher he was last year. Is that because Liam Cohen is now head coach of the Jaguars opposed to the offensive coordinator from last year for the Buccaneers? All that kind of plays into it. Bucky Irving has been part of the catalyst, I think, why the Buccaneers offense hasn't been what you were expecting to be really at any point this season. They've had the Mike Evans injuries and Chris Godwin as well too, and Emeka Buka's fallen off as well as the season has progressed as well. I think this will be a get-right opportunity for Baker Mayfield and company. I do think Bucky Irving has a chance to score if the Dolphins defense was any indication last week against Chase Brown. And overall, I think Baker Mayfield is not quite quarterback one. There's actually a bunch of other quarterback one options this week that I'd rather have instead, but I have a lot of faith in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Bucky Irving in particular to at least have some volume if you have made it to this point, kind of being or carrying any of those Buccaneers players to the finish line of the fantasy playoffs.
Talking with our guy, Joe Bartel, RotoWire Fantasy Sports. Follow him on X at JB Fantasy Sports. Let's talk about the New England Patriots a little bit because all eyes have been on them to this point. However, I feel like Ramondre Stevenson seems to be hit or miss depending on the week at this point. How do we feel this week?
Yeah, and Travion Henderson suffered a concussion early in that Ravens game. He is one of 3 players that are going through concussion protocol. We as Packer fans are tracking the same thing with Jordan Love. We'll have to see what Love's status is. But I think it's too tough right now to have this conversation on a Tuesday or whatever to say, hey, is Travion Henderson going to be able to play? If Henderson is out, Ramondre Stevenson becomes a play if you have him in your lineup. And there might be a situation where he's available on waivers because you weren't really needing to hold on to him when Travion Henderson was available. So if Henderson is out, Ramondre Stevenson is at minimum a flex play for everyone in 12-team leagues. I think the volume he gets is a rusher and a pass catcher. And the Patriots have a good matchup as well, too. I think rest of season really as they are trying to maintain the AFC East division race at the moment. So if Henderson is out, Ramondre Stevenson needs to be a play. And we'll have to find out probably as the week progresses whether or not his stats will be available for the Patriots.
So you brought up Bucky Irving. I had him on my team. I have another guy that was on my team that had my bench this week. It didn't matter because I won, but Parker Washington goes off and has a big game for Jacksonville. And based on what we've seen the last couple of weeks, this appears to be a very bad Colts defense. So does he now become a play in a championship game or a semifinal game?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail right on the head. I had a lot on the line with that 49ers and Colts game on Monday night, and we really just needed to be low scoring. That was kind of the goal. All right, let's just keep this low scoring. 35 points in the first quarter between the two teams was the exact opposite of what I wanted to have. And it was like the 49ers defense and the Colts defense being horrendously bad. It felt like everyone could have their way. The only concern I have is if the Jaguars run out too far ahead and that you're in a point where Trevor Lawrence midway through the third quarter isn't using these guys, or you're having ETN, or more than likely if Bashal Tutin's back, the backup running back, he's been out the past couple of weeks. It could be Quentin Allen as well too, has been getting some run. I don't think that happens because the Colts are motivated for a divisional game. Technically, they have the playoff lives on the line. They have been embarrassed in some pretty tough fashions over recent years against Jacksonville. They notably haven't won a game in Jacksonville now in almost a decade at this point too. There's a lot of other extra stuff for me to think this won't be just a complete run through. However, I don't know how the Colts defense is supposed to get better. Like, they got DeForest Buckner back. That didn't seem to help whatsoever. I guess if Sauce Gardner plays, maybe that mitigates things somewhat. But like you alluded to, Jacksonville is a 3-headed offense right now with Parker Washington, with the acquired Jacoby Myers at the trade line. Brian Thomas Jr. still there. Travis Etienne's been playing well. And Trevor Lawrence has been insane. I don't know how the Colts defense stops Jacksonville. So by default, Parker Washington probably is a flex play as well. The only issue is you had Pat Surtain on Jacoby Myers in that Broncos-Jags game last week. Surtain kind of removed Jacoby Myers, kind of like Surtain removed Christian Watson from our game. I think there's no sort of option the Colts can do. So if it's which Jags pass catcher really explodes, it's probably more Jacoby Myers than Parker Washington. But I think I want as many pieces as I can of this Jags offense because I have zero faith in the Colts defense.
So what happened to Brian Thomas Jr.?
It's going to be one of the questions that we are really dissecting in the fantasy community come the off season, which really for us starts by end of February, certainly early March as we do the NFL draft and get everything set. There was a lot of talk, even in training camp, and I think back to that preseason game, it might have been preseason game 1, where Trevor Lawrence throws a slant across the middle to Brian Thomas Jr. He gets just completely rocked, and we had heard from that point that Brian Thomas Jr. was getting alligator arms. Like he was a little bit scared to go across the middle.
Yeah.
And is that a Trevor Lawrence thing? Is that a BTJ thing? Is that something that could be fixed mentally? I mean, remember, Brian Thomas Jr. was a late first-round pick back in August because of what he did last year when it was Mac Jones, the quarterback, not Trevor Lawrence, who'd been out with a month plus of that concussion. So I don't know if that can be rectified. And if you're talking about dynasty, Brian Thomas Jr. was effectively like a top 3 or 4 dynasty receiver and has fallen way off the cliff at that point. I don't know if there's an answer or solution. I always point back to Chris Olave, a guy that was conventionally drafted in like the 5th or 6th round of redraft leagues this year. I always felt confident Chris Olave was a really, really good receiver no matter what the offensive scheme was. He's been one of the biggest difference makers during the fantasy playoffs. It was a matter of, can Chris Olave stay healthy? It's not
Did you
similar.
see the story on Olave that he considered retiring? Did you see that story?
I didn't see that, but it wouldn't have surprised me because
Yes.
he's had a lot of concussion problems. And
That's
and
why.
There's a
Yes.
fair concern with that. And obviously Olave has been awesome this season. It's not a one-to-one thing, but I don't want to ever discount a player that we think is good and is proven at the NFL level. What Brian Thomas Jr. did in his rookie year was historic numbers. So I have to assume a guy like that can figure it out. Like this wasn't just a flash of the pan. There's very few times where it's ever happened in the NFL where a guy has peaked to that level and then fallen off to the extent that he has this season. So I would be willing to bet on the talent rebounding in some fashion, but it definitely becomes a question of the price tag. If people are too in on Brian Thomas Jr., or they think that Travis Hunter will make that Jags offense even better next year, there's a myriad of reasons to say, well, maybe BTJ probably isn't the guy that you're drafting high if Jacksonville's offense continues on the run they have been this year.
If I'm an NFL team, I'm calling them this offseason. I want to know what's it going to take to get them, right? I mean, if you're Baltimore trying to get help for Lamar Jackson, or if you're Chicago, because you clearly aren't in on DJ Moore necessarily, you got one more year of him, and then they're going to move on based on salary. But, I mean, if you add Odunze and Brian Thomas Jr. to play with Caleb Williams for the foreseeable future, that's a hell of a 1-2 combo to go along with Loveland at tight end. That makes sense there, too, if they want to go there. There's just a lot of teams that could use Brian Thomas Jr. if Jacksonville's not going to use him. So something to watch there. The one thing about fantasy football and the way that everybody does it, outside of the way that I used to do it when I ran my own fantasy football league, is you get to the end of the season and now you're stuck. Right? Because now there's 2 weeks to go. Some are in their championship games. Some are in their semifinals. And then their championship game is the last week. Well, wouldn't you like to have Isaiah Pacheco in your Super Bowl? Wouldn't you love to have Travis Kelce in your Super Bowl? Sure, if Patrick Mahomes was a quarterback, but now he's not. And now those owners are completely 1,000% screwed because I don't know if I'd play either one of those guys this week against Denver.
You're right. I had Kelce at tight end 16 this week. We did the weekly ranking show. You can search RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast. We actually did it on the Tuesday one. We're only doing it on the RotoWire YouTube channel. I had Kelce at 16. I would rather pick up Taysom Hill off waivers and play him instead right now because I have no idea what the third string quarterback, it's not just Mahomes, but Gardner Minshew also done for the year as well too. Chris alluded on what is that going to be for the offense and going against that Broncos defense as well. There's divisional motivations. It's going to be a national stage. This is Travis Kelce's final game, likely at Arrowhead as well too. Do the Chiefs do something and get Kelce more involved that way? When we have to go down to narratives to give the reason as to why you might want to play these guys, it's a really tough spot to be in. So you're entirely right with the Chiefs offense. It's very frustrating at this point with the injuries. I think like Breece Hall is another example with the Jets down to the third string quarterback. They kind of seem content just doing the NBA style of completely punting, putting bad players out there on the field. It is certainly frustrating. You had mentioned something though, and I think it's good while I could be in my soapbox right now. If your championships are in week 18, if we're doing the semifinals this week and then championships next week, go win that league, but then afterwards, leave it. There is zero reason in today's NFL that we should ever have the championships be in week 18. That never needs to be scheduled. So I would beg for your leagues to fix that. There's never a point where a championship should be week 18.
Now, I'm going to tell everybody the way I used to do it back in the day. Okay? And in fact, when we were at the Broad Bowl, one of the guys that used to be in my league, that league still continues. Somebody else is running, but it's still going on all these years later. And he's like, how did you come up with that? Like, he's like, it's so amazing. I love it so much. So first let me start off by saying our scoring was completely jacked up, right? Grew up in Kenosha. First league I was in, this is how the scoring was. And everybody associated with this league then went and started their own league. So the scoring was always the same. Back then, you had hand paper, newsletters, you drop off the envelope in mailboxes, drive around town and drop off the recap from the week. And it's all math scoring from USA Today, box scores and all of that. So when we did it, it was 50 points for a touchdown. Okay. Following along. Sure. 1 point for every yard scored. So that's easy to do math wise, right? It was that first thing I was in was touchdown only. Then as I kind of went off on my own, then we started doing bonuses, right? So if you get over 300 yards passing, it's another 25 points, and then 25 points for every 50 yards over, whatever the case was. So that made it different. Field goal kicking was 50 points for a field goal. Not 50 points for a field goal. Field goals were a point for every yard kicked. So a 50-yard field goal was essentially like a touchdown because it would be 50 points from 50 yards. So field goal kickers became a little more valuable than probably all the other fantasy football leagues that I was never in. I only knew this as my way of life. But this is the part that is much, much, much different than everybody else. We played the regular season through the entire regular season.
Okay.
Our playoffs were in the NFL playoffs. Our Super Bowl was the Super Bowl. And how you would do it is you would have seeding, right? So whatever the seeding was going to be. And then you would have your draft. So normally there's 4 teams in each round up until the Super Bowl. So for the wild card teams, let's say, are 4 teams. So we would meet at a bar, restaurant, or conference call on a phone back then because there was no Zoom or anything, right? And then the 1 seed would make the first pick, 2 seed, 3 seed, 4 seed, and then it goes back up 1 through 4. And so it wasn't a snake. It was true 1 through 4. And you drafted a starting lineup from the teams that were playing in that round of the playoffs. And then the teams that had buys, they waited until you got there. So when you got to the Super Bowl, it was the 2 fantasy teams left drafting a starting lineup from the 2 teams that were playing in the Super Bowl. And then when I created my league, we had 5 keepers. We had 16 teams, 5 keepers a team. So when you got to the playoffs, you had the choice before the draft started to say who you were keeping. If your keepers were in, you could keep them, but then you forfeited that many picks at the beginning of the playoff redraft. So there was some strategy. So if you threw them back in, they could come back and beat you if you decided not to keep them.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, the part that you mentioned, and I really, if I'm going to do one thing, is we've been doing this all year, coming on your program, getting a chance to talk about fantasy football, that you found a bar, you did a conference call, whatever else. That's the part I play in 17 leagues this year. I'm going to make 2 championships. It's not a great ratio.
I used to play in 7 every year, and everybody thought I was crazy. 17, Charlie.
I'm in 17, but this is also my full-time job, right? Like I'm very lucky to be able to play fantasy football. I love it. All I get to do and talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't get to be in a spot where I'm getting to interact with my league mates and go to the bar with them very often. I have 2 friends and family leagues in a family league that I do, and we'll text and whatever else. And I know the invent of technology has allowed for a bit more interaction, but that's the part that I love about fantasy football is that we have these. I want more reasons for us to come together and to watch sports and talk about sports and interact in that way, whether it's fantasy football or otherwise, with the Packers being the Bears, things like that. Like I love reasons for that. And to do multiple different redrafts over the course of every single week during the fantasy playoffs, that's great because it means we all get to get together and talk about it. And I love that. So you're right. That's an amendment. I'm fine if we have week 17 football played that way or week 18 football now in the year 2025. If it encourages us to be together more as a community and people that are like-minded sports individuals, that's the best circumstance to be.
I was in a fantasy baseball league, and we would go to the same bar every Sunday night. And you know what happened? People would drink too much, make stupid trades, and then we'd all laugh about it on Monday as somebody made an absolute idiotic trade and traded away everything. But every Sunday night, everybody in the league was at that bar watching Sunday night baseball and talking crap and making trades and doing all that fun stuff. That is what fantasy sports is supposed to be about. And now we're in the online world. Nobody sees anybody. Nobody hangs out with anybody, and everybody's too busy for everybody. So that's how it goes. Joe Bartel, RotoWire Fantasy Sports. Follow him on X at JB Fantasy Sports. When can they find you on SiriusXM?
Yeah, we'll have 11 to 1, and make sure to get the Central Time Zone, 11 to 1
Very
p.m.
good.
on Friday, and then 5 to 7 p.m. on Saturday. We'll have that right leading up to the Packers game. You guys can call into Channel 87, the Sirius XM show. I take all my listeners on at that point, and we're just talking about your fantasy lineups. We'll be going over the Packer game again, like we did last week, and kind of outline things. I got most of the calls correct. If you were doing a daily fantasy game, just circled around that. So it'll be the lead up to the Packers-Ravens game. If you want to participate in that show, Channel 87, 5 to 7 p.m. Central on Saturday.
There he is, Joe Bartel. Thank you so much, buddy. Have a good holidays.
All right, see you guys.
There he is, Joe Bartel, RotoWire Fantasy Sports on the guest hotline, powered by Kruber Law. One call, that's all. Bucks play tonight, and if they win, you win at Wendy's. After every Bucks win, stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after a win, so act fast. Get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's. Take a quick time out, come back on the other side. Things Sparky missed, brought to you by the Milwaukee Admirals. Straight ahead, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Last show of the week. We'll be back again on Monday. I'll be back Saturday night for the Green Bay football postgame show, powered by Lakeland University, with Tommy Wirtz and myself after the Packers and Ravens right here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. So looking forward to that. Inside Wisconsin Sports with Josh Albrecht and Trevor Thomas back on the air tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then 9 to noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff and Brandon Sneid. None of them are working. So instead, it will be Tommy Wirtz and Mitch Thunder Nellis, who, God bless Mitch Thunder Nellis, he's done shows all week long while on his family vacation in Florida. That is dedication. I'm not quite sure how many other people would be doing shows while on their family vacation. And I'm not quite sure how many other wives would allow their significant others to be doing shows while on their family vacation, Charlie.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. I would not want to be working extra like that, but that man loves being on air, and I love listening to him on air.
I love people that love their job. Hey, are you ready to rumble? Join wrestling legend Kevin Nash on January 31st at Potawatomi Casino Hotel for an elevated viewing experience of the Royal Rumble. Check this out. Watch your favorite WWE superstars battle it out in the match of the year, located in the annex at the Potawatomi Casino. For just $100 a person, you can enjoy 2 drinks on Potawatomi. Right there in the annex, you get 2 drink tickets. Unlimited buffet access, photo and autograph with Kevin Nash, $25 reward or match play to play your favorite games on Potawatomi, and a shot at winning your own WWE Championship belt that'll be signed. I think they're giving away 5. I believe is what Luis almost told us yesterday. Secure your spot now by going to Potawatomi.com and looking for the events page. There's only 60 tickets available. That's all they're doing. 60 people will get a chance to do this. They're not selling as many as they can. 60. That's it. No more. Totally very cool, intimate experience. Checking out the Royal Rumble with Kevin Nash. And again, how many other people are going to get to say they have ever watched a WWE pay-per-view with a WWE legend like Kevin Nash, and a picture and an autograph and a chance to win a WWE belt? I mean, come on, man. How cool is that?
I think doing anything with somebody who is a master of their craft and just doing that with them is an amazing experience. And Kevin Nash is one of the best. Watching one of the best events in WWE, man, that's got to be a great time.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now. Don't miss Milwaukee Admirals hockey this season. Don't just buy tickets. Invest in memories at MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
All right, things that we miss. The Milwaukee Bucks. We haven't talked about the Milwaukee Bucks much on this show because they're infuriating. They really are. Like, I've stayed off X for the most part on the Bucks now recently because all it's going to do is it's just going to just not be good. Like, everybody's complaining. Everybody wants Doc Rivers fired and all that fun stuff. I want to ask Charlie using something.
Mm-hmm.
When do they win another game? They've lost their last 3 games. Their last win was December 11th at home against the Celtics. They got beat by the Nets 127-82. That was horrible. They lose to the Raptors 111-105. They lost to the Timberwolves, a game they were kind of in, but not really. 103-100 over the Bucks. That was in Minnesota. Now they go to Indianapolis tonight to take on a depleted Pacers team. Then on Friday, they're in Memphis against the Grizzlies. Saturday night, they're in Chicago against the Bulls. Monday night, they're in Charlotte against the Hornets. Then home against the Wizards, home against the Hornets, at the Kings. After this Pacers game, you can get on a significant run of wins if you just don't suck finally.
I predict 5 wins in that stretch.
Mm-hmm. 5?
I think so, and I think their next win comes tonight against the Indiana Pacers. I called it against the Boston Celtics.
You did.
So
I thought they were going to get killed against Boston, and they beat Boston that night 116-105. I mean, everything went right. Boston was ice cold from 3, couldn't hit anything, and the Bucks were able to win because of that. So we'll see.
We'll take it. A win's a win, Sparky.
I hate the Pacers, but I don't hate the Pacers as much when Halliburton's not playing.
That's
so
fair.
It's not. I don't.
They still got a couple annoying guys on the court.
Yeah, whatever. And always good to go to Chicago and beat the Bulls if at all possible.
Yeah, why not? I mean, the Bulls can't play defense. They're basically the Bucks. Like these are the same 2 teams.
Yeah. So why not go do it? And Bulls fans could care less if they win or lose at this point because there is no
They
expectations.
just want everybody fired. Like that's all it is. Trade Nikola Vucevic. Even though he's been a good leader this season, he's been fun to watch as a Bulls. It's somebody that actually has energy in Chicago for the first time in forever.
We only have like 2 minutes left. We're gonna do some goofy sports talk thing that everybody does. I think Tommy Wirtz is gonna do it tomorrow. And I think Josh and Trevor are going to do something similar. Letters to Santa. You got one Christmas wish from Santa. Sports-wise, sports-related. What would it be? And again, you can pick Cubs, Bears, White Sox, Bulls, Blackhawks, maybe one of the Wisconsin sports teams, one way or the other. Could be anything sports-related. It doesn't matter what it is.
I mean, Munetaka Murakami going to the Chicago White Sox was not one of my wishes, but that's pretty cool already.
Yeah,
off
and
the bat.
he didn't even get the press conference broadcast on the radio because everybody was listening to Ben Johnson after he beat the Packers.
Just crazy. But yeah, the Chicago Bears to win a Super Bowl, I think is pretty easy. That's my favorite team.
That's this year. That's your wish.
Yes. Come on, make it happen. I think they can do it.
All right.
What do you wish?
Curious. What do I wish?
Yeah.
I wish that all this Giannis talk would just finally end. That's my wish.
What it was gonna be.
Just to not talk about this dude for the rest of the year.
Actually, can I change my wish, Sparky?
Yeah.
Wisconsin Badgers, top 3 recruiting class. That's what I want.
You got a better chance of the Bears winning the Super Bowl. That'll do it. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live in Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Thanks for listening. We'll be back on Monday. I'll talk to you Saturday night with Tommy Wirtz and the Green Bay Football Post-game show, powered by Lakeland University after the Packers and Ravens game. Tomorrow morning inside Wisconsin Sports, again with Josh and Trevor, 6 to 9. Make sure to check them out. Have a good night, everybody, and have a great Christmas as well if you celebrate Christmas. Otherwise, have a great holidays. Good night. Toodles.